Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of First Timers Movie Club.
Hey, welcome to the club. We're so glad to have you.
Yes, here for our Christmas episode.
Yes, Merry Christmas. This is our Christmas spectacular. We're having a Christmas party.
I'm so excited for it. And make sure you click subscribe. We've got a lot more awesome episodes coming in the new year.
Totally. It's your boy, Patrick. Smash that like, smash the subscribe buttons.
And I'm Lolo.
It's your boy, Lolo.
You know it.
If you're a real fan, head on over to patreon.com/IXFilmProductions.
Indeed.
Become a patron. Gives you exclusive access to a couple of our feature films, as well as behind the scenes of some of our video content that you can go catch on YouTube.
Yep.
We do all sorts of fun movies on the YouTubes.
Make sure to leave comments wherever you're listening of movies you think we should do.
Yes, let us know what movies you'd like to hear us talk about. But we didn't really say what we are. This is First Timers Movie Club.
Yeah.
The podcast for movie lovers by movie makers.
Indeed.
And we're joined here today by fellow movie maker, the woman who is always there behind the scenes and in front of the camera sometimes.
The magical mermaid, Amber Joy.
What's up?
She's a mermaid?
I don't know.
I'm fine with that.
I was trying to think of something Leslie Knope would say about her, and that's what came out.
I think she'd call her like a mystical sea narwhal.
That seems
I like
accurate.
that. I like that. I'm going to put that on my business card.
That should say Amber Joy,
should.
mystical sea
Mystical sea
narwhal, maker of film.
Yeah.
That sounds excellent. I'm so excited for our Christmas movie we're watching today.
Indeed. Today
Yes.
is the Christmas spectacular. It's our welcome to our Christmas party.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. This is a great party.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a party if we hadn't had another guest,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that makes it a party.
Then, yeah.
And we're gonna watch the Christmasiest,
The most Christmas.
Christmas-toniest
Yeah.
film
Uh,
ever, Die Hard,
Which I have seen.
and I've seen.
And I have not seen.
All right, well, it's so great to be here for Christmas. I'm so
Indeed.
glad to celebrate with the two of you.
That's magical.
yeah, this is great.
It was
It's-
a nice, wintry, Christmassy, like 60 degrees out today. So,
yeah, it was beautiful. We cleaned out our garage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll have so much more room for activities and stuff. That way we can make more movies in our garage or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. We made a movie in our garage.
We have. It's,
Yeah.
We can't make movies in our garage with you in them, though, Patrick,
No.
because you're almost as tall as the ceiling.
I am very tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's been wonderfully Christmassy in the fact that it's nice out, and I love that.
Yeah.
We are in Kansas, but I like to pretend it's a Christmas in LA, and that makes it a perfect Christmas for me.
I agree.
'Cause
Wholeheartedly.
I'm anti-snow. So yeah, there we go. I'll take a stance. I'm not for snow. I'm not for it.
You know what? I'm going to be brave with you and agree.
Wonderful.
I'm backing you up on that.
Yeah.
I think this is a good Christmas movie for people who don't like snow because
It's Christmas in LA.
It does not take place in the snow.
It doesn't. It's
So-
wonderful.
I didn't realize it took place in LA.
Oh, spoilers.
God damn it, Lolo. All right, I quit. This is a Christmas
They
party
are-
ruined.
Was that the big spoiler that the movie takes place in LA? It's
That
a plot
is-
twist at the end.
It's the reveal at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think they're at the North Pole. Turns out they're in LA. It's a big shocker.
Damn. Well, okay, this was a weird episode of First Timers Club.
Yep, bye, guys.
Christmas party
Time to
over.
go home.
Lolo ruined Christmas.
Yes. No, I mean, I'm sorry.
It's currently a couple weeks early for Christmas, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
We haven't done a lot in the past couple weeks.
We have not. I've still been recovering from having 4 teeth out and missing part of my jaw. I'm about 3 weeks into my 6-week recovery and
She's
doing
doing
great.
a great job, though.
You're
I'm
doing,
good.
awesome.
Thank you. Still can't feel part of my tongue.
But you can feel most of your tongue.
I can feel most of my tongue again, which
you're like,
is really nice.
Eat normal food.
Pretty
just
much,
at
just-
1/4 speed.
Just really slow. Yeah, but I am back to eating
Which is probably healthier
any
anyway.
food I want. Yeah, I used to eat too fast, so it's, I think, been good for my tummy.
Yeah, you're not actually eating slow right now. You're eating at a normal person's
And
speed,
it
and that's
feels-
slow to
It feels
to
like
us.
I'm a sloth,
Yeah.
but
All right, so last episode.
yeah.
Not a lot that we got confusions
Oh,
about.
good for our other classic Christmas episode.
Yeah, Gremlins. Okay, so I didn't tell you last episode, and I really wanted to.
Yeah.
That day before we did the episode, I was talking to my mom on the phone,
Uh huh.
and I wanted to like bother her by calling Gremlins a Christmas movie. That was like the goal. So I was like, she was like, oh, how you doing? I was like, oh, I'm doing great. Just kind of getting ready for the podcast episode tonight. We're doing Gremlins because we got to do Christmas movies soon. And then she was like, continued because she kind of ignored me. And then we kept going.
She
I was like,
sensed you were trying to upset her.
Exactly. And then we kept going and I was like, yeah, gotta start doing these Christmas movies. She goes, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, fuck yeah, I did it. And I go, Gremlins. And she goes, that's not a Christmas movie. And I was like, yeah, it is. And she was like, no. And I was like, no, it takes place. It's a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas. It's Christmassy. And she goes, all right, whatever, your weird Christmas movies. Like, it was just, I loved it so much because like she's really into Christmas. My dad's really into Christmas because he is a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
He's a professional Santa Claus.
Well, and she's now a professional Mrs. Claus. They do it together, and they are
She is a Mrs. Claus.
adorable.
They are the Clauses.
Yeah.
They call their red truck something. It's got a like reindeer name.
Oh,
Is what they call the truck.
That's so
I didn't
cute.
know that either.
Yeah,
Fun
I think
fact.
it's like Donner or
Didn't
something.
she also, in regards to Gremlins, say gross?
She did. She went, ew, gross. She was not into it. Yeah, so she doesn't like Gremlins. We love Gremlins. You should watch it, Amber. It's great.
okay.
It's great.
It is pretty fun.
But so there's two things. One thing that we talked about was the robot with the hat that's behind him in that scene in the Inventors like Emporium conference, the Inventors conference.
Yes.
There's the robot that we're like, we don't know what that robot is.
Yes.
But it's a robot from a thing, and the voice of the thing, there was like cameo, but we don't know it because we're
what
not
is
smart
the robot?
enough.
Did you look it up?
Yes. The robot in the hat is Robbie, the robot,
Okay.
from Forbidden Planet,
Oh, shoot.
which is
okay.
classic sci-fi we just not seen.
Yes, I have not seen it, but I am familiar.
Yeah, and so the original voice of him from Forbidden Planet, they got him in Gremlins.
That's awesome.
And that's him back there on the phone chatting away.
Great. That's so cool. It's a really cool looking robot.
It's a very cool looking robot. We should
need
watch
to
Forbidden Planet.
Forbidden Planet, yeah.
All right. And then the other thing is kind of funny because it's like I was very, and I think I might have cut out all of these mistakes. I tried to.
Okay.
So we kind of talked about Stripe is like the main evil gremlin, right?
Yeah.
And I kept wanting to call him Spike.
Mm.
Apparently,
Uh-huh.
that name thing is one of like the many like notable mandala effects.
Oh. Where people think it's named one thing, but it's actually
Where
the
a
other.
lot of people believe that like it's Spike, but it's actually Stripe. So a lot of people think that's one of those big Mandela effects.
But it is Stripe
It is
in the
Stripe
movie?
in the movie.
Okay.
But I'm from a universe.
Where it's Spike.
So apparently I'm now in the wrong universe, guys.
Huh. You doing okay?
Which Berenstein Bears did you have growing up?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because that one doesn't like...
Yeah, that wasn't a big one for you.
No, because I'm dyslexic.
Mm.
So even reading it, when people are like, Berenstein, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That sounds like we're just saying it different.
You're like, I didn't even know that the B was at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
That doesn't work for... That one doesn't work for me. But like this one, like I distinctly remember him being called Spike.
That's hilarious.
So I need to get back to my universe. If anyone can help me,
Shoot.
I'd love to
We'd miss you, though. Just stay here.
go
It'll be
back.
fine.
He really can't handle that one change, though. That's too much. Of
I
a
was fine
difference.
with everything else. This
How
universe
about-
is
How
meh.
about we just start calling him Spike? Will you stay?
I don't know, because then we're just being wrong.
Oh. No, you're just right, but from a different timeline.
That's weird. I don't like it.
Oh, okay, fine. I have no solution.
All right, well, let's start our Christmas party.
Yes, please.
Woo!
Yeah, it's time to party like it's 1988 and watch the wonderful Christmas, warm, cuddly, happy, feel-good movie Die Hard.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, that is what I assume it is. It's just a feel good, no violence or any suspense, just warm feelings all the way.
Just a nice.
That's why it's called Die Hard.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, motherfuckers.
Die Hard.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what do you know about Die Hard? You gotta say it like that.
Yeah.
But like lean back from the mic. If
Yeah,
you do.
I was just thinking that. I was like, I don't know that I'm going to say it. I'm too close right now. So I think the last movie that I was on here for was Jurassic Park, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, and in that one, most of what I knew about it was from memes.
Okay.
And this film, I mostly know about through other films. Because it's one of those movies that I feel like characters in movies talk about or reference a lot.
Okay.
So, like, I can't remember what the first film was that I heard, like, the Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. And I was like, what is... Okay.
You're like, that's a...
Die Hard. And I was like, okay. And then kind of just in other films too, when people would talk about Bruce Willis and they were like, oh, he's so great in Die Hard. And I was like, okay, I didn't realize he was in it. And then mostly just learned a lot of stuff from it. Like, this is such a weird thing to say, from this one episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where it's supposed to be like a spoof of Die Hard when they're in the store and stuff, and Jake is obsessed with it. And so that was when I finally learned that it takes place in like one building, I guess.
Okay.
I was like, okay. And I know at some point people are in the ventilation shaft, I think.
Okay, so because you've seen the Brooklyn Nine-Nine Die Hard episode.
Yeah, and I know the whole debate that people have had about, is it a Christmas movie or not? And like that whole thing.
And we will settle that debate today. We will decide. After the movie. We can't do it right now.
No,
That'd be nonsense.
Yeah, that'd be like placing bets, but it would be very weird. So that's like mostly what I know about it, to be honest. I think there have been jokes about the bad guys, but I can't really remember any of the jokes I've heard about them. I think, are they German?
They are?
Okay. Can't remember any of the jokes still.
Hans Gruber.
Okay, I do know that name. Yeah.
Have you seen a lot of Bruce Willis?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really at all.
Okay.
I was thinking about that earlier today.
What?
And trying to figure out what else I've seen Bruce Willis in, and I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head. There's a possibility that there's something I'm forgetting.
Sure.
But even when y'all were talking about Death Becomes Her and the different Bruce Willis phases and talking about different films he was in my head I was going, haven't seen that.
Yeah, because like in our friend group, we were all texting about the different phases of Bruce Willis and the different, like, there's the no hair Bruce Willis compared to the short hair Bruce Willis. And like, wow, that's so weird because Bruce Willis is like a staple of my childhood. Yeah. Like I grew up, like Bruce Willis might as well be my dad. Like, that's how I feel about Bruce Willis.
That's fair.
Like, Bruce Willis is the dad that, like, I wish I'd know. When my dad wasn't there, Bruce Willis was. No. I love my dad, but I also love Bruce Willis.
I feel like your dad would respect you loving Bruce Willis, wouldn't he?
Oh, no, 100%.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, you may not have seen a Bruce Willis movie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, for me, it was, like, a big deal when Die Hard 4 came out.
Yeah.
Because it was the first one me and my dad could see in theaters together. Like, that was like a big moment. Die Hard 5 was the first movie me and Lolo saw on Valentine's Day together.
Yeah, it was a good Valentine's Day.
I remember you talking about that, actually.
Yeah.
Like, Bruce Willis has always been there for me.
All the big moments.
Have you seen Red?
No.
Oh my God, Red's so good.
It was funny, though, because all week on my, like, I forget what it's called, on like a TV when it goes to the screensaver if you have a Roku and there's like different movies popping up. The one that kept popping up was Die Hard 2. And every time I was like, no, we need to see the first one first. Stop trying to push that one on me.
That's
He plays himself in Ocean's 12.
Okay, yeah, I have seen Ocean's 12.
He cameos for just like a minute as himself. Have you seen The Whole Nine Yards?
No, I haven't yet. I actually almost watched it the other night, and then I wasn't sure if you'd be mad if I didn't watch it with you. That was genuinely the thought process I had.
It's one of his favorite movies.
Yeah. I mean, when we did the fundraising for... I just threw my pen. I got so excited.
I know your poster was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we did the fundraising campaign for Almost Sorta Maybe, which is the feature film we're finishing right now, we did poster, like, Photoshop things to help raise money.
Yep.
And so what we did is we would edit people into their favorite movies poster. And I edited myself as Bruce Willis in Whole Nine Yards because I love that movie.
Well, I feel like you should be grateful because at 2 a.m., like 2 nights ago, I almost just watched that movie on Netflix. And then I was like, I really feel like this would be a moment if Patrick and I watched it. So
he would get so much joy out of watching you watch it.
Yeah. I really would. Fifth Element. Have you seen Fifth Element?
Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay. I've seen Fifth Element. Yeah.
You've seen one Bruce Willis movie.
It's a pretty damn good Bruce Willis movie.
It is one of my favorites, though. I love Fifth Element so much.
Have you seen The Player?
Nope.
You haven't seen the Look Who's Talking movies, probably?
I think I saw parts of one in like a hotel once.
Okay, he's one of the babies.
Okay.
Okay, but so you've seen Fifth Element, so you understand he's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great in that.
He is credited with 140 things on IMDb.
And Amber has avoided all but one.
And all that Amber has seen is Fifth Element, him playing himself in Ocean's 12, and the 3 episodes of Friends he's in.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
This is a travesty. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, I'm glad that we get to be here to see you experience Bruce Willis in his most Bruce Willisness.
Yeah.
Bruce
Willis-deist?
Yeah, his Bruce Willis-deist.
Yeah.
In a sense. Yeah.
I think this is the most Bruce Willis gets.
I can feel
I
Lola's
guess
love
so.
for
I
Fifth
just,
Element pouring out of her.
I was just gonna say, I feel like this film doesn't show his comedic chops, which are strong. I feel like there are multiple faces to Bruce Willis. This shows his
I don't want to argue with that because Amber Joy has not seen this film.
Okay.
I don't think we can have this conversation.
Well, but yeah, you're right. You're right. We can't, because then I was having other thoughts, and I'll shut up.
I will say, as not knowing anything, right now I feel like there is going to be comedy in this, but I don't know if that's because I often find comedy in things that are meant to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
So
I'll shut up.
Thank you.
Carry on.
I would love to watch this argument unfold after the movie, though. So
We-
stay tuned.
We will.
Don't change the channel.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's a podcast. No flipping. Who was that?
Oh, on Ink Master.
Yes, on Ink Master.
On the,
Dave
really
Navarro
new seasons.
does it in the live show finale all the time. It's very strange.
Oh,
It's
nice.
like kind of a callback to like the Larry David
Yeah.
show. It's very
Yeah.
strange whenever he does it. But yeah, Die Hard.
you didn't say it right.
Die Hard.
There you go.
Yeah, it is 1988.
Cool. Good year for music.
Is it? One
Yeah.
just that specifically 88?
Yeah, I think so. I think one of my favorite Poison songs came out that year, actually. So
Yeah, what Poison song came out in 88?
I'm going to say it and then I'm going to be wrong and then I'll be ashamed. I'm pretty sure Every Rose Has Its Thorn came out in 88.
Okay.
Possibly.
Great. I wouldn't know.
What a weird factoid.
But she's only seen one Bruce Willis movie.
Yeah, I've got weird knowledge in my brain. Not the knowledge you'd expect.
No. Yeah, it's weird the music you listen to with the movies you've completely missed.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's so funny. Every person I talk to that's like, so what movies have you done on your podcast? And I'm like, oh, like Jurassic Park and like we're going to do Die Hard. Like, who the fuck hasn't seen these movies? And I'm like, oh, well, like, luckily we have like our resident child, Amber Joy. Not that you're like that young, you're like 20.
But
Yeah.
you got to say it like they do on SNL. Resident young person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pete Davidson. Resident young person. Amber Joy.
We have a resident young person, Amber Joy, and she's a young person. They're like, but still, it's Jurassic Park. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, now she's seen it. Fuck off. Like, I don't know.
It is very weird because there's a lot of very odd movies that a lot of other people haven't seen that I've seen, or classics that I've seen, but then just because there are certain things that like scared me or my family just didn't really buy, that just slipped through the cracks completely.
Yeah, like all of the famous like action movies
Yeah.
or any of that from the 80s through today.
Yep.
You missed them.
Yep.
Unless they came out in the Marvel era of action film.
It's true.
You know the Marvel era
I
of
know.
action film pretty
I
well.
know the Marvel era really well.
But it's 88.
Yeah. What happened in 88?
The highest grossing film of 1988.
Die Hard.
No. It's strange
Oh, what is it? I mean, yeah. What?
because it's not what most highest grossing movies are,
What is it?
and it's not what the rest of this list is.
What is it?
The highest grossing film of 88 was Rain Man,
Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't know it was that big at the box office.
which I have not seen.
And I have.
I've seen it.
You weirdo.
Well, we should do Rain Man.
Apparently, we should do Rain Man.
Yeah.
The second highest grossing film is one of my favorite movies,
Yeah.
which I've shown you, or else we would do it on this podcast.
The whole
So
9 yards?
It's time to bring back resident young person Amber Joy and watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yep.
Oh.
Good stuff.
Because I'm guessing you haven't seen that.
Nope.
And then Coming to America.
Okay.
Okay.
And now we're like, these are like movies that I expect
Yeah.
because it's like comedy.
Yeah.
Crocodile Dundee 2 is
Okay.
number 4 on this list. Twins, Rambo 3.
Okay.
Okay.
So like this is where we're at.
Yeah.
Also, that's kind of like what a action movie looked like. It's Rambo 3 is the 6th highest movie of all. Like
Yeah.
Fish Called Wanda,
Mm.
Cocktail, Big, Die Hard.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So Die Hard's number 10 on the list.
Okay.
But it's there.
Did it come out around Christmas?
I did not look into that.
Okay. I was just curious because of the debate of is it a Christmas movie? I was curious when they put it out.
It released. This is easy to find. It's a summer movie release wise.
Oh, okay. Just like Gremlins.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious. I find it very interesting, these movies that take place over Christmas, putting them out in the summer.
It happens a lot though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even somewhat recently, there was another action-ish movie that I was complaining
Christmas.
about because it took place at Christmas,
Yeah.
but it came out in like July.
Very strange.
So it was the 61st Academy Awards,
Okay.
and I bet you can't guess what won Best Picture.
Rain Man.
Rain Man?
Yeah, it was Rain Man.
I actually already knew that film had won Best Picture.
Rain Man also had the most awards and the most nominations that year.
Mm-hmm. Which is very surprising to me because I knew Rain Man was huge.
How good Die Hard was. No.
I knew how huge Rain Man was at the Oscars. I had no idea it was also #1 at the box office. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't
crazy.
coincide
They
that often.
frequently do not.
I know. It really shocked me.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. But
Which-
so Die Hard.
Yeah, because now it's time for my favorite game, which is, what Oscars was Die Hard nominated for?
Ooh, I actually do like this game.
Sound design and special effects.
I haven't seen it, but like score, they often like weird action
They
scores.
do often like action scores.
Yeah.
Or Alan Rickman for Best Supporting Actor.
Lolo was correct with sound.
Okay.
Best sound nomination for Don J. Bassman, Kevin F. Cleary, Richard Overton, and Al Overton Jr.
It is kind of unfair
I feel like that's some nepotism there.
making Amber guess without seeing the movie, but
Yeah, it is.
Wait a minute, did you just say Alan Rickman?
oh shit.
Alan Rickman's in this?
I'm sorry.
so
You're really
excited
bad about
now.
this.
I just got really caught up thinking about the Oscars.
Yeah, I
and
understand.
it slipped out.
Oh, I'm so happy now.
Yes, Alan Rickman is in this. We will get to that in a second, though.
Okay, fine. I'll keep it in.
Best sound,
Mm-hmm.
best effects, sound effects editing,
Okay.
So not visual.
Stephen Hunter Flick, Richard Shore.
Okay.
Best effects, visual effects,
Oh, so both.
Richard Edlund.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right.
Al DeSaro, Brent Bodis, and Thane Morris. And best film editing,
Oh.
Cool.
Frank J. Urosi and John F. Link.
I can see that.
John F. Link? Sorry, you made a thing with the other name, so.
So Richard Edlund does tie back to another episode, is why we had that.
Oh.
Richard Edlund is the founder of Boss Films, who created that company for the film Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So this is
Ghostbusters guy.
Yeah.
this is 4 years after Ghostbusters, and the effects crew is nearly the same effects crew as Ghostbusters.
That's so cool.
And there's some
Nice.
fun little trivia I'll tell you after.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, to talk about the cast crew production of this movie.
Which I don't know. I have no idea who you're talking
just
about.
slipped out. Well, I was like, if any person was going to get an Oscar for this, who would I give it to?
Bruce Willis.
Well, yeah, him too.
Wait, Bruce Willis is in this?
No, don't worry, Amber. You'll still never see a Bruce Willis movie.
Yeah, secretly that's actually my goal in life.
I mean, she didn't remember he was in Fifth Element.
I was too distracted by the lead chick because I love her.
She's incredible.
All right, so to talk about this movie,
Yes.
we have to start in the past, actually.
Okay, let's
How
do
far
it.
in the past?
Kind of pretty far.
Oh, okay.
We have to go all the way back to 1966.
Oh, okay.
Roderick Thorpe wrote a book called The Detective. It was a big old fucking deal.
Okay.
And it was actually made into a movie with Frank Sinatra.
Oh,
Okay.
Cool,
Okay.
cool,
Okay.
cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Then he took forever to write a sequel to his best-selling novel, The Detective.
Understandable. Relatable.
And he released a book in 1979, which is now 13 years. Yeah, that's correct math.
Yes.
66 to 79. Took him 13 years to write a sequel,
Okay.
and the book is called Nothing Lasts Forever.
Okay.
That book is Die Hard.
Gotcha.
Like, it's
Okay.
takes place at Christmas. There's a lot of other plots that we can't discuss, but it's pretty much Die Hard.
Okay.
It does have a man, because like he was writing The Detective and he aged up his lead character from The Detective. It's the sequel.
Uh-huh.
It's the same character Sinatra's playing.
Yeah.
He aged him up. So it's a man in his 60s
In the book.
in the book.
Okay.
And at the time, Sinatra was like, nah, I'm too old to do this. And they were like, thank fucking God. Because 20th Century Fox owned the rights to Roderick Thorpe's books.
Uh-huh.
And in 79, when the new book came out, they were like, oh my God, do we have to make this movie with Sinatra? Like, with old ass Sinatra in an action film? And Sinatra was like, I'm out, guys. They're like, thank God. Let's shelve it. Because, like, we don't really want to make a movie about an old person fighting bad guys.
Okay.
That just seems dumb.
But we just mentioned Red.
Yeah, which is exactly that. And it's amazing.
It is.
But so then, almost 10 years later,
Yeah.
20th Century Fox revisits the idea and hires professional tennis player Jeb Stewart to write the script.
Obviously.
I don't know why.
That's who I would have gone for, too.
So one of the craziest things about it is that they did an episode on Die Hard for the movies that made us.
Great
Oh,
show.
okay.
Great show.
And Jeb Stewart is in it. And they mention he's a professional tennis player. And he's like, yeah, I was a pro tennis player. And he says he had been writing short stories and novels at the time.
Okay.
I can't find any of this shit.
Okay, well, you know what? To be fair, he could have been writing short stories and novels at the time, but, just by himself at home.
Just the way that George Lucas now makes movies.
Yeah.
Like, in his basement.
But how does that qualify him or get him to the point where 20th Century Fox is like, yeah, you can write a big action film?
Maybe he was giving it to them. They were buddies and they were reading his short stories.
Like, it makes no sense to me.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So this is Jeb Stewart's debut writing credit.
Well, it's way better than my debut writing credits. So
I know I shouldn't be making fun of that because I haven't seen it yet and it's probably a great script. So
He has since done the script for another 48 Hours, the sequel to 48 Hours,
Okay.
and The Fugitive.
Oh, he wrote The Fugitive?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Those are
Wow.
his two big credits since this.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, but so he doesn't have a lot, but he has two of the most famous action movies ever. Like The Fugitive is also
The Fugitive's pretty big.
a pretty big movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But like he's got two big.
I mean, it's big enough that I haven't seen it. And when you were like, he wrote that, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
He was fired part way through production.
Okay.
Awkward.
He's credited as one of the writers,
Uh-huh.
but they did fire him and they hired Steven D'Souza.
Okay.
Who I don't know if you know
Okay.
D'Souza.
I do, yeah.
D'Souza's a pretty famous name
Okay.
in the biz, especially in the action comedy biz.
Gotcha.
He wrote the original 48 Hours,
Oh.
Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Uh-huh.
Jumpin' Jack Flash, and Running Man, all before he did Die Hard.
Oh. So he's a writer.
He is a writer.
Yeah. He'd already had hits before this.
There are some big things that Jeb Stewart added to this movie, and without him, I don't think we would have the movie we have.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we'll talk about those changes from book to Jeb to D'Souza after.
Sure.
But so that's the writers.
Okay.
The movie's produced by Joel Silver,
Okay.
who's very famous
Yeah.
for producing, I don't want to say garbage action movies, but by saying I don't want to, I got to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very politely.
That's the magic of those phrases.
Yep. That's how the language works.
But no, like he also produced 48 Hours, Brewster's Millions,
Okay.
Weird
What? You're saying Brewster's Millions isn't a genius?
Weird Science, Commando,
Gotcha.
Lethal Weapon.
So I just got to say, Lethal Weapon is probably one of my number one Christmas movies.
I know, Die Hard's mine, Lethal Weapon's yours.
100%.
There was kind of a fight about which one we were going to do this year on the podcast, and I won.
Yeah.
Because I'm a foot taller than you, and so the arm wrestling just really wasn't fair. I
It's
can't believe that's how
not.
we decided to
It's-
choose this argument.
Also,
Yeah.
you did it right after she got her teeth out. So it was.
What's weird is it was her idea. I mean, she was on a lot of morphine, but it was her
She gets
idea.
very confident on a lot of morphine.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
But so Joel Silver's very famous for making
Gotcha.
action. He's made
Some of the best action movies ever.
yes, and even since he's produced some great action movies. He's the one that decided to change the title to Die Hard, which is just a solid title.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that worked out
'Cause
for him.
Joel Silver just knows how to make a good action movie.
Yep.
And this isn't a direct Joel Silver quote because he's not in the movies that made us.
Yeah.
But one of his guys that worked for him says that a Joel Silver quote is he knew how to pick a good movie because he knows a movie's good if it makes him hard. So that's how Joel Silver makes a movie,
Okay.
guys.
All right. 'Cause if it makes him hard,
If it makes him hard, that's a good movie.
that's incredible.
That's actually where he got the idea for the title.
Yeah.
That's it. It means something different, y'all.
Joel
He
Silver
wants to
would love to
die
die hard.
hard.
That's the goal. That's everyone's goal.
I feel like that is like, yeah, all right. Descriptive of the kinds of movies he makes in some way.
It really is.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh, no, okay, yeah.
Yeah. They make him hard.
He picks movies with his dick. All right.
Yeah. And it works for him.
Yeah.
He's using his dick for good and not evil. Other producers in Hollywood have used
Yeah.
their dick for evil.
Yeah, but he's just like,
He's
no,
not-
I just want to see tough guys running around fighting each other.
Shirtless and
That's-
sweaty.
That's
Yeah.
what makes him hard.
And some hot women, too.
But yeah, barely.
In Weird Science, they make a woman.
Oh, okay. I'm just
Ugh,
thinking
yeah.
of like this and like Lethal Weapon barely have women in them.
This movie stars. We'll do top down or bottom up?
Bottom up.
Bottom up? All right, we'll go bottom up. Turn the page. People are going to be like, that's not the bottom. That's the bottom of my list. Reginald Vell Johnson plays Sergeant Al Powell, which is just a
That's
great name to say.
What a mouthful.
Al Powell. But it sounds like you're saying Al
owl.
Powell.
Yeah.
You might recognize him from being the jail guard in Ghostbusters for one shot.
Oh, I always wondered who that guy was.
So what I like about him and kind of why I wanted to talk about him in this is that before this movie, he had not done much. Like you'd seen him in Ghostbusters maybe. He had some bit parts here and there. When he got this role, he was 31 years old and he was seriously considering and thinking about if he needs to give up acting. And then he got this and it changed his life. Because after this, he has done so many films and is the dad in Family Matters.
Oh, wow.
Which, if you don't know Family Matters,
Oh,
it's
wow.
Urkel.
That's him?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he played the cop in Ghostbusters, the cop in this, the cop in Family Matters. He is the best kind of chubby cop.
I mean, he's great. He's a very good actor. That's awesome, though, that he finally...
Yeah.
That's really
I love
sweet.
stories like that where people want to give up and they don't.
It's so sweet. He was really considering giving up, and he said his mom was the only person that believed in him. And then he did Die Hard, and he was able to buy his mom a house and a car.
Wow.
And yeah.
That's the dream.
That's what we all want. We
Isn't
all want to
that-
buy our moms.
Everyone just wants to buy their mom a house and a car. Yeah,
Yep.
That's the dream right
I
there.
just want my mama to worry less, like the Big Sean
Yeah.
song says.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's Reginald Vell Johnson. I love him so much. He's amazing. There are other actors I'm not going to mention, but
Yeah.
just as people are listening, they're like, oh, he's the first person. There's other people. But I'm not going to talk about them, I guess.
There's a lot of people in movies. We have to pick and choose.
There's, I think how you say her name is Bonnie Bedelia. She plays Holly Girano McLean.
Mm.
And she actually got this role because Bruce Willis recommended her.
Aww.
Yeah. He apparently, which I was like, oh, I wonder if they were friends or whatnot. No. He saw her in the movie Heart Like a Wheel, which I've never heard of.
Uh-huh.
And apparently he loved her acting in that and was like, she's amazing. We have to cast her.
Wow. Okay.
And so they did.
I mean, that sounds like something we do because sometimes we see weird movies and we do just latch on to someone in them and we're like, why aren't they famous? That person, that
You're-
fucking person. We want to work with them. I want to work with them.
So right.
So that sounds exactly like something we would do.
She has 92 acting credits on IMDb.
Okay.
I have not seen most of them. I don't know her from much things, but I did find that she is Camille Braverman in the TV version of Parenthood.
Mm.
That's the mom of like the whole family.
Oh, the matriarch?
Yeah.
Mom?
Yeah. The one that wants to be a painter.
Oh, shit. She's incredible.
Yeah.
I fucking love her.
She's amazing
Bruce
in that
Willis
show.
was right.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
incredible. And if anybody knows me and listens to this podcast often, they probably know I'm obsessed with Dak Shepard.
Yeah.
So I love Parenthood,
Yeah.
the TV
Yeah.
show.
I was just confused because I was like, there's a lot of moms in that.
She's the mom.
She's
though.
the mom of the
She's
mom.
the top of the moms.
The mom of
The
moms.
peak mom.
The mom to be all moms.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's Camille Braverman, which was so cool because I've never seen this movie after seeing Parenthood, so that's gonna like I'm excited. All right, but we are to the one, the only, Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman's in this?
Yes, I know, and we all know Amber Joy loves Alan Rickman.
do.
Who
He's amazing.
doesn't love Alan Rickman?
I don't think anybody doesn't love Alan
Like
Rickman.
everyone
Yeah.
loves Alan Rickman.
I think the whole world, yeah,
We
everyone.
thought about it for a second. Can't think of anybody.
he's Professor Snape.
it's like to the point that liking pizza, it's not even a character trait.
No,
Like
no.
it's just a thing everyone.
Yeah, you're just
likes.
born with a love for Alan Rickman.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's incredible. The cool bit of trivia about this movie
Yeah.
is that this is Alan Rickman's first film.
What? It's baby Rickman?
Uh-huh.
I
Wow.
actually knew that. Yeah.
He was like a famous stage actor before this.
Yeah.
He already had a Tony.
He was
before
already
this.
he was already Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is what made him movie star Alan Rickman.
Yes.
Yeah.
So There you go.
That's pretty important. Mhm.
Yeah. And then top build, we got Bruce Willis.
Yep.
So Amber doesn't know much about Bruce Willis, but I have a lot I want to tell you about Bruce Willis, and I'm gonna.
He's like, I've been waiting for a moment to just unload
All right, let's
all
do
of
it.
this.
Let's talk
Okay.
Bruce Willis.
So at the time they're making Die Hard, Bruce Willis is not a movie actor.
Okay.
Bruce Willis is famous from being on the rom-com sitcom Moonlighting.
Okay.
And that's, he's famous. He's the dorky comedy, like, dude on that, and he's the spokesperson for Seagram's beer. And he does the shitty, goofy commercials.
Good for him.
That was Bruce Willis.
Yep.
He had tried twice to break into films.
That did not go well.
And they kicked him back out when he
They-
broke in.
They were huge flops.
Oof.
Then they're trying to make this movie, right?
Yeah.
And they can't use Sinatra.
Damn.
It's another 10 years.
And they start approaching actors.
Huh?
And they approach Clint Eastwood. He doesn't want to do it. They approach Sylvester Stallone. He doesn't want to do it. Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't want to do it. Richard Gere doesn't want to do it. Burt Reynolds doesn't want to do it. James Caan doesn't want to do it. Nobody wanted to be in this movie.
Really?
Everyone had turned it down. So then, Bruce Willis, the man who shouldn't be in movies anymore,
According to everyone. So
his
harsh.
agent hears about this script, Die Hard, that nobody wants to be in.
And he's like, oh boy, have I got something for you.
No. This is the best story ever. Just wait. It's way better than you can even imagine.
And he convinces 20th Century Fox that this movie, nobody wants to be in, is such a large risk for his client, Bruce Willis. Because A, this could be a very bad movie.
Uh-huh.
And B, if this is a bad movie, Bruce Willis will never act again.
Because it'll be his third failed feature.
Three's the charm.
Therefore, Bruce Willis becomes... He gets signed on to this movie. They're like, well, but we can have Bruce Willis. And they're like, yeah, you can have Bruce Willis. But Bruce Willis becomes the highest paid actor in the world at the time, making $5 million.
Because his agent just lawyered the shit out of that and convinced them it was such a big risk for Bruce Willis. They had to pay him $5 million. The failed movie actor Bruce Willis.
He could fail so bad, you have to pay him $5 million.
Because he might never act again.
Did Bruce Willis buy his agent a house and car?
He should have. Fuck his mother. His agent needed to be rewarded for that one.
Also, like, I really want to know, like, what was that phone call like? Because I like to imagine Bruce was in the dark for all of this, and the agent was just dealing with it, and then one day, like, gets a call after he finishes one of his dumb commercials. No offense to what he was selling. I'm sure the beer's fine. And this agent is just like, yeah, you have $5 million now. You may never act again, but you have $5 million
So
now.
make it last.
Yeah.
Invest wisely.
Well, I mean, Bruce did know at the time that, like, he was like, oh, I have to make this work, to the point that
Yeah.
he shot this movie while shooting Moonlighting. Like, not in a break.
Yeah.
Like, he was shooting both. And then luckily his co-star, which I think is Sybil Shepherd in Moonlighting. So his co-star in Moonlighting, she got pregnant. So then they took a break for her.
Oh.
And he was like, oh, thank God. Because he was like doing double duty
Yeah.
for both projects.
She helped him out.
Yeah.
She was like, I got this. It's okay.
And so that's kind of what allowed him to like have the time to do this. But it was
Jeez.
rigorous for him.
Yeah.
So when they start making ads, and the reason I decided that I could tell you all this before the movie is because if you were alive in 88, you would know all this about Bruce Willis
Yes.
because it was news. So Die Hard's going to come out soon.
Okay.
They make a poster. It's Bruce Willis holding the gun. And he looks all tough and shit. It's awesome, right? They're like, movie, Bruce Willis, Die Hard. Then they start showing the trailer in theaters.
Uh-huh.
And people don't want to see Bruce Willis. They're tired of Bruce Willis. They disliked both those movies Bruce Willis was in. So not only are people laughing when they see Bruce Willis's face, because they just can't imagine him in a movie where he's not the goofy dude in Moonlighting,
They don't understand acting.
Yeah.
they're also booing at the screen when Bruce Willis's face comes on the screen. So then producers freaked out. Because they're like, we just paid this man the most money ever to be in this movie, And the audiences don't want to see Bruce Willis.
Uh,
So they changed their ad campaign, and they took Bruce Willis's face off the poster, and the poster just became a building.
Just the tower.
The poster's literally the building.
I think I've seen.
And then it says Die Hard.
Uh,
And people went to see that movie.
Did the building get top billing?
it should have.
It really should have.
I feel like though that like whole thing, I feel like I would just have to say it's still a thing I see a lot of people not actually understanding how acting works.
No,
Yeah.
And it's
not
been
at
going
all.
on for a long time, and it's upsetting but also hilarious to me every time it happens. And even just actors still talking about like, yeah, well, I was in a sci-fi movie, so now I can only be in sci-fi
I mean,
because I'm a
just-
sci-fi actor
Just
now. And it's like,
recently,
what?
There
I
was
mean, like-
all the like Edward Cullen can't be Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not Edward Cullen being Batman, guys.
Batman isn't a sparkly vampire.
It's Robert Pattinson.
Neither's Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. It's like just because you can't get that image out of your mind, don't punish him.
Also, like, have you seen the billion things he's done in between those movies?
Yeah.
No.
He doesn't sparkle in any
You
of
know
them.
what? I never thought that.
I
was
assumed
like,
he did.
Oh.
I never thought that. When I saw the trailer, I was like, a lighthouse keeper can't be Batman.
You can't be a lighthouse keeper and be a vampire.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Because you have to go outside during the day sometimes as a lighthouse keeper.
It's
It just doesn't make
lighthouse.
sense.
It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Actually, the vampire and Batman thing makes more sense because he fights most crime at night. So
Yeah.
So that's more plausible.
Alan Rickman was actually worried about that with doing this movie. I won't tell you like what his role is or anything that he does, but he was just because it is his first film
Yeah.
and he was a very famous stage actor. He was like, but if I start being in movies, is this going to be the thing I do from
Yeah.
now on?
which I think I might have heard something that he plays the bad guy, but I might be wrong. So
But so Bruce Willis is the highest paid actor of all time.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to see him. We'll see how you feel. That's how Amber feels too. She boos when she sees the screen when it's Bruce
now I
Willis.
like want to go watch a bunch of his beer commercials before we start the movie.
They're pretty great. It's pretty much him dancing around on porches singing to beers. It is the most 80s you can imagine it. He's
Good.
in the most 80s jeans ever. He's got a white t-shirt on. And yeah, it's special.
Sounds quality.
So, director.
Yes.
Yeah.
When originally getting this group together, they wanted Paul Verhoeven to direct it, which I don't know if you know Paul Verhoeven.
I do.
I don't know that I do.
When you think 80s in excess,
Oh.
it's Paul Verhoeven.
Okay.
He did like RoboCop. He did Total Recall.
Okay.
I feel like he did Showgirls even, but maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
think-
I am right. He did.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He did Basic Instinct. He did Starship Troopers.
God.
All
I've seen,
these
like-
movies I know,
So he
but I
just
haven't
is the
seen.
80s.
Yeah, I mean, except for Basic Instinct, Showgirls, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, all the 90s actually.
Oh, never mind.
But he is like those movies that are like, they're excessive. They're tons of sex,
Yeah.
tons of violence,
yeah.
tons of muscles.
Cool.
They're Paul Verhoeven.
Gotcha.
So that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
But Verhoeven said no because he wanted to go do Total Recall,
Oh, fair.
Okay.
which actually apparently took him a lot longer because they got this out in 88 and he didn't get Total Recall out for another 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which it's a big sci-fi movie, so there's a lot more moving
yeah.
pieces.
Yeah.
So then the next guy they went to, what? You didn't know Total Recall was sci-fi?
I didn't.
Oh,
I thought it was like an on-Earth action film.
No.
Total Recall is amazing.
That's so weird that I didn't realize it was
Let's do an
sci-fi.
episode about
Wait,
it.
you have no grasp
I
of it then.
love
Yeah.
Total Recall so much. So then, because they couldn't get big muscle, big violence,
Mm-hmm.
Paul Verhoeven, they went to John McTiernan, who just directed Predator. Big muscles, big
Yeah.
action. That's kind of what they're going for. There's
Yeah.
a
There's a
feeling.
theme.
Yeah. And he turned it down
Mm-hmm.
4 times before Joel Silver convinced him to do it.
Oh my god. So the Predator director did it.
Yeah.
That's not always how you want a thing to go. You don't want it to be that someone was convinced
I
after he
can't
asked
believe
4 times.
how much everyone hated this movie.
I mean, it's based off a book that wasn't a huge success
Yeah.
with an old man
Yeah.
doing stuff that I can't talk about because it's the
Yeah.
plot of the movie. And then they got this tennis writer to make it.
Were people turning it down before or after the other writer came on, do you think?
Actually, I know it is all pre-Steve D'Souza.
Okay. So people were turning down the first
Jeb Stewart's script.
was what was being turned down.
Yes.
Not the script we're about to see shot.
Yes.
Okay.
And John had some things he needed changed to join the script, John McTiernan,
Gotcha.
the director. He was
Okay.
like, these are some things I need
Yeah.
done. And then they started looking for actors. And they, at the time, it was just Jeb Stewart, John McTiernan. They got actors. They I think they almost started shooting before they even got rid of Jeb Stewart and hired on Steve D'Souza.
Gotcha.
And it sounds like Steve D'Souza was writing this movie while they were shooting this movie.
Gotcha.
And we'll talk a lot about that
Yeah,
after
yeah.
the movie.
Well, I'm
Okay.
sure that the director calmed down once he learned Bruce Willis was going to be in it.
Yeah, he was like,
Don't worry.
She's like, oh, thank God. At least I've got star power behind this film. Oh, wait, no. I've got Bruce Willis and Alan Who.
John McTiernan is the coolest.
And then they were like, he has a Tony. And he was
He's
like,
like, "What's
who
that?"
fucking cares?
Like, everyone should watch the episode of Movies That Made Us just to see John McTiernan. Because when they first get him on screen, it's them off camera going like, can we set the water bottle on the side table? And he just goes, why? And then he just like starts talking. He's like, I'm John McTiernan. Like, he's like, why? I'm John McTiernan holding his water bottle. Like, it's amazing. And then everyone talks about how he like doesn't smile.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like grumpily says like, all the comedy in this movie is because of me. Like, and
You know, that's very refreshing to hear people complaining about a guy who should smile more.
and then they were like, one guy was like, I think if John McTiernan smiled, his face would crack. Like, it would break. But like, he is like a really like witty, like fun seeming. I like him a
Yeah.
lot, actually. And then like,
You don't have to be happy to be funny.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
true.
and then when everyone's talking about like the movie doing well or not doing well, they just cut to John McTiernan just kind of going, I didn't really care if it did well or not. He just like doesn't.
You shouldn't care.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. You
I
should
love him.
Just make it because it's fun and fuck off.
Yeah. He's great. He didn't care as Bruce Willis. He was like, whatever.
That's great.
Like, he wasn't nervous about Bruce because he didn't care.
He
Like,
also didn't want to do the project, so
no.
that helps remove a lot of the caring when you hate the project.
Yeah. You just go into it with zero expectations. You can never be disappointed.
That is true.
I think I can tell you why he didn't want to do it before we
okay.
watch. Well, because I was going to save it for after because Amber knows so
Oh, okay.
little. But Amber knows it's like some sort of like action movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know there is.
Action in it.
He didn't want to do it because he didn't want to do a terrorist movie.
Mm.
Because nobody likes terrorists. So he said, people like robbers. You can enjoy robbers. If they're robbers, he'd do the movie. Because the problem with terrorist movies, and like he talks about it a lot, both in the commentary and in Movies That Made Us and everything he talks about it a lot. Like, terrorist movies are inherently bleak
Yeah.
and they're sad
That's fair.
because they're terrorists and they're just there to just cause
Yeah.
chaos and destruction. And you can't, as a viewer, be into their plot.
Mm.
So you only have the A plot of your hero.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie.
He's right.
That's actually very, yeah.
But a robber, you can like a robber because you can be interested in what they're going to do and why they're robbing and who they're robbing,
Yeah.
how they're going to get away with it.
Yeah.
That's
there's
an interesting
so much more
movie.
Plus,
material
there's
there.
a lot more there, even if it's a stretch where you can be like, what led them to do that? Maybe they have a reason they need to do that. Like,
Yeah.
there's
all these other things. And so he said he wouldn't do a terrorist movie. He'd do a robber movie. And that was the big change that McTiernan needed. And that's why he said no the first
So
four times.
everyone was also turning down a terrorist script.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Well, the actors were after John McTiernan, probably. They probably already had
Yeah.
a director. So they were
But-
turning down
okay,
the robber
but-
script.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think just Paul Verhoeven
Gotcha.
turned down the terror script to go make Total Recall,
Gotcha.
which I can't talk about.
No.
I wonder if at least one of those actors that we just listed, though, was like, well, I just think it's boring. I would have done it if it was a terrorist movie.
All those actors
Yeah.
felt that way. They're like robberies. Everybody's done robbery movies.
Well, I mean, Arnold, obviously, if it was between this and Total Recall, he also chose Total Recall
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
because, yeah. So that's the people who are in this movie, who made this movie.
Good for them.
That's the context of this movie.
Are we almost to watching this movie?
We're pretty much
I'm
there.
really excited to watch
We're
this
at the
movie.
little bits of like the fact that, yeah, there are 5 of them at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously culturally relevant.
They keep
are-
introducing me to things where then I need to watch a bunch more once I get into it.
Yeah, true. And they're mostly great, honestly. I
mean,
enjoy
That's
a lot of
honestly
them.
surprising. I thought that the later ones weren't as good.
I mean,
There's a lot of debate about that.
Okay.
definitely had a lot of fun seeing 5. I wouldn't say it's...
I will say my hot take right here.
Okay.
And it's divisive as fuck.
Okay.
I love 4. People hate 4. Everyone hates 4. I think 4 is a great movie, and I will stand by it.
I don't remember which one that is, but...
The only thing I don't like about 4, but I get why it is what it is that it is the first and only one that was PG-13, and that is weird for a character whose catchphrase is Yippee motherfuckers. And that sucks, and a lot of people were mad about that.
Yeah.
But also I do get the choice because more people get to be able to see it.
Yeah.
And it allowed my dad was able to take me to go see it at 14. He wouldn't have taken me to an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
But I got to go see it with my dad. So like,
Yeah.
they did get my ticket sale out of it.
Yeah.
So it does work for them in that way.
I mean, I haven't seen any of these, so I can't really give my 2 cents. But here you go, 2 cents.
Amber's like, I don't know anything about this, but I'm going to talk a lot.
I mean, if the politicians can do it, I can too. I feel like
It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's the phenomenon of someone who doesn't know a lot talking the most than other people.
there you go. But I feel like a lot of movies sometimes, even that I enjoy, and people think it's not a good movie. I'm like, I had fun though.
Yeah.
And that is a good movie. Sometimes a movie doesn't have to be quote unquote like amazing. If you had a fun time and it was an enjoyable way to pass 2 hours, it was a good movie.
I agree.
If I was rating the diehards, I would say it's 1, 3 and 4 tied, 2, 5. But they're all watchable films. So that's my, you can totally watch all the diehards. But so, yeah, there's a bunch of diehards, obviously.
Yes.
It was selected for preservation by the National Film Registry and the Library of Congress in 2017.
Wow.
It is noted for creating a genre. I won't talk as much about what that genre is anymore until afterwards.
Okay.
The line "Yippee motherfucker" is considered the 96th greatest movie line of all time, according to Premiere Magazine, 2007.
Nice.
It's on the list of 1001 movies to see before you die. And in 2007, Bruce Willis donated John McClane's undershirt to the Smithsonian, where it hangs to this day.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
This is Die Hard, motherfucker.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yay.
Are you ready? Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited. My heart's pounding already right now just from fear. No excitement.
Good.
There's more reason to be excited.
I think the poster says there's like 40 stories of excitement. I'm pretty sure that was the old poster
There's
catchphrase.
something like that about how many flights of...
How many floors of excitement?
And then you
Yeah.
could count them when it was the poster of the building.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, 40. I can see them.
Exactly. Yeah. It is our Christmas party, though.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're going to celebrate
Yay.
because in the film they're celebrating Christmas.
Yay.
So we're celebrating Christmas. We've got Christmas sugar cookies
Oh boy.
that are gluten-free and dairy-free.
They are.
Because we've got the gluten-free Lolo, we got the gluten and dairy-free Ambro. So they're gluten and dairy-free.
Us finicky fucks.
Yes. That's exactly what we are, the finicky fucks.
We should get t-shirts made.
I was about to say, or maybe start a group.
Because it's the 80s, just like Ghostbusters. There's a lot of connections to this movie and Ghostbusters, oddly.
Yeah.
But just like Ghostbusters, because it's the 80s, we do have gluten-free, dairy-free Twinkies.
Oh boy.
And they do matter to the movie. Just like Ghostbusters. They are productly placed into this film.
Oh my god.
They say Twinkie lasts forever, also in film. It will go
It will
down
last the
history.
80s.
Yeah.
I think do we need to start putting Twinkies in our movies? Will that make our films better?
If
Probably.
Twinkie will give me money, I will put all the Twinkies in. I'll eat 100 Twinkies in the next movie we make. Also, it is Christmas. It's a Christmas party.
Mm-hmm.
So just like the Christmas party in this movie, which Ambro cannot partake in, but the adults in this party can, we have a rosé, bubbly, champagne-y like thing.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know we had that. That's
we
lovely.
also have eggnog and rum, if you'd prefer that.
Lovely.
Or we have fake eggnog and no rum, if you're Ambro.
If you're still the resident young person, which I
Exactly.
definitely feel like until legal drinking age.
Yeah, you're a resident young person.
No. You're a resident young person for as long as you're the youngest person in the room.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, well, let's get some Christmas party going.
Yes.
And let's watch this movie.
Yay.
Let's do it.
Yay, motherfucker.
This is Die Hard. Well, I would start now and say, oh, we've now seen Die Hard, except we all just went and got more cookies. So we have to finish our snacks first. If this was like a true 80s snack, though, we would have just had like cocaine and cigarettes.
Yeah, we'd just be like,
Yeah.
so.
You missed a little.
That's the most 80s thing, I think, is the cocaine and cigarettes. And that's what they do the most in this movie. The Christmas snacks and the wine was a little like, it's a deep cut for it. All right, now that we finished our snack,
Yes.
you have now seen Die Hard.
I really liked it.
That is such a good movie.
It really is.
I have seen it many times. Not as many times as Lethal Weapon, but like
Gotta stay
many
true
times.
to Lethal Weapon. You're like,
I really
Lethal
Joe
Weapon is her
Pesci.
first love.
Mm.
Really,
Mhm.
it's I have to stay true to Joe Pesci.
mm-hmm.
He's not even in the first one.
I know, but like
You
Joe
don't even
Pesci.
go here.
No, yeah, tell us what you think. Was it kind of what you expected? Was it not?
What did you think?
Yeah.
Lalo said.
I think she should stand by that. It's like what I thought about it while watching it and what I'm thinking now. What did I think? Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. In many ways, it was like exactly, I knew none of what was going to happen. I like was completely blind the whole time, which was fun. But like the vibe, I feel like it was exactly what it was supposed to be. After the way I'd heard people talk about it and the way that I'd seen it referenced in shows and stuff, I was like, yes, that is exactly what I didn't picture necessarily, but felt it would feel. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You are satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So like, even though I didn't really have an idea of how the plotline was gonna go, yeah, the energy of it was definitely what I expected, but in a good way. Not like, oh, it's just what I expected and it was so boring. But
No, in a way, like you're like, I want a really good hamburger, and they're like, here's the best hamburger you can have. And you're like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, that was amazing.
Do you feel like you need to go rewatch that Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode now? Though?
I
The Die
do.
Hard
I need
episode
to
and
see.
really-
I just see it
Amber's
again.
like, I'm actually restarting all of Brooklyn Nine-Nine because so much of his character is based
It's just
around
based
John
around
McClane.
Yeah.
It's true.
yeah,
And you'll really just understand his character more
yeah,
now that you know this is his entire basis of human thing.
yeah. No, one of the things that I really liked throughout it, which I'll try to phrase this well. We'll see if I get there eventually. The sugar cookies will help me. I need to eat one to get into it. I really liked the fact that obviously the robbers, which I loved what you told us about the terrorist thing. That was fucking hilarious. I loved the fact that, like, obviously the robbers are the bad guys in the film. But despite that, I really appreciated the fact that it wasn't like a completely black and white of like, oh yeah, the robbers are the bad guys, and then all the cops come and they're all helpful and they save the day. That it's like, no, the police are also being assholes and not doing well. And
the
like the
FBI
FBI are psychopaths who are like, yeah, we're going to lose about 25%. I can live with that. And then just like
Which-
super excited for that.
The math on that, if they're like, we can lose 20% of 30, they're okay with killing 6 people.
yeah.
They were straight just 6 people. That's that. Yeah, I'm good.
And like all of that and everyone's attitudes.
And like the reporter.
That like, I mean, I said while we were watching, I was trying to stay quiet, but one was just like, man, everyone sucks. But like, I kind of liked that about it, that it isn't just like, oh, we get rid of these people and it's all okay. That it is this thing of like, he's annoyed with everybody. And the way that Bruce Willis played that, I felt like it's weird to say, but I felt like it was actually, I know he's like jumping off of buildings, but I think you'll get it. It was one of the most realistic action films I've seen because all of his reactions to the spectacular things he's doing and that are happening made it feel very grounded. And like even his constant cussing is just like, yes, you would be just like motherfucking train fucking and just like as you're like talking to himself and being
You should have
annoyed
done something. Then you'd be dead.
and just being annoyed with literally everyone the entire time was really great. Except for Al.
Al Powell. It's interesting that you did say, though, like you mentioned that everybody sucks. And now that you've said it, literally everybody. Because like John McClane's a shitty husband and a bad father. And Al Powell shot a kid. And there are heroes. Like literally, there are no good, like...
Yeah.
There's no one that's good. Everyone's morally gray. And
But
that's
there are two people trying to be better than they've been.
I think his wife is trying to.
Which is,
I think she's tried.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nobody who's perfect. But there's only two people trying to be better than they've been.
Yeah.
And nobody else cares to be better.
But like, and that's what like makes the movie work, I think, is that people do live in these moral grays.
Yeah.
And the reason you can connect with him and Al is that they're not just like the Boy Scout superheroes. They're flawed people that are learning to be better and trying their best.
Yeah.
And that's something everyone can relate to.
Yeah.
Which I think they did really well, though, because I'll be honest, I feel like we have been on a kick recently of just like morally gray heroes and kind of obsessed with that. But I'm not going to name names or anything, but I feel like a lot of films I've seen that try to do that don't always do it super well. And I just end up feeling slightly annoyed watching it. Versus this one, I felt like they really dealt with like how they're not doing well in a manner that you were still rooting for them. And like you said, I think the difference is very much their attitude towards trying to be better. And even in this scene where like at the beginning before anything starts, I really liked the bit where like John and his wife Holly get into the argument and like he's being an asshole. Like he is a complete asshole in that scene. He's a horrible person in that scene. And then as soon as she leaves and he's like, that wasn't good. And you can tell that like he's been psyching himself up to see her again and trying not to do that. And then he fails. And that even his big moment, I thought was really great for this, like, you know, tough macho man hero in this action film that he says, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's his big moment that he wants him to tell his wife, not I love you or I did it for you or whatever. That he's like,
heard me say I love you
I'm
a lot.
sorry. And I thought that was a really beautiful moment and also really solidified that idea of like the difference between him running around killing all these robbers or the robbers killing other people is that like he has regret and he understands that even though these were bad people he's killing, he's probably going to live with guilt still about killing someone for the rest of his life.
And that's like part of Al's speech too.
Yeah.
Is it like reminds you that like these men aren't like murderers.
Yeah.
They've like Al killed a person in a situation where he did not know what was going on. Like he didn't.
Yeah.
He accidentally killed a kid, and then like John now is in a situation where he's having to kill these people. But like you feel his regret through Al's regret, and it's kind of a beautiful scene.
One other thing that I was just gonna say quick though that I liked, also just like differentiating between the like heroes of the story with like Al and John versus everyone else is that I also like the fact that everyone else is so obviously trying to impress someone else.
Yes.
There's so much ego going on with all the other leads, and a lot of that like toxic masculinity.
FBI agents.
Yeah,
Do you need a breath mint?
versus the two leads that are literally just trying to survive the situation and do the best they can.
Yeah.
There's no trying to prove
That's
anything
like
to
the
anyone.
truth of the world too. Like I'm just trying to survive.
There's also like, and they set that up in a really weird way or a really interesting way, that like when he's on the phone with the dispatch lady and then she gets off, she's like, just send like some black and white there. Like, like she immediately tells you how unimportant it is and how unimportant that cop is.
Yeah.
They're
They're both dismissed at once.
Yeah.
In that scene.
Yeah. And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
It also like that it's one of those funny things where like you're like, oh, that dates this movie with him carrying a gun on a plane.
Yeah. Yeah, that
having
was
a cop as a hero. No.
Yeah. Yep. And all the cocaine and the
So
cigarettes.
much cocaine. Yeah.
These are really bad for you, you know.
They just learned that like yesterday. So he was maybe trying to tell him.
Yeah.
I mean, he had killed that guy, so maybe he doesn't need to know anymore.
Maybe his thought process was like, these would have killed you anyway. So
Also, he's a hypocrite because he then smokes the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
that is true.
It's this end thing, whoever is to credit for it, it's a really good script.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's such a good script.
It's definitely one of those where like every little line, even in tiny little scenes, I felt like gave something to the plot. Even when we're just outside with the cops and they're saying random things to each other, it was like if it really made up the world.
I would say if we're discussing like who we're giving credit of the script to, I would say it's both writers and the director.
Yeah.
And then also your actors.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what makes this movie so good.
Yeah.
Because, like, the basic outline of plot was pretty much the first writer.
Yeah.
Then adding all the humor in and kind of figuring out the ending was the second writer. And then also the way that...
And taking out the terrorism while also keeping all the terrorism.
Yeah, yeah. Which is also John McTiernan
Yeah.
like
Which
doing.
was a genius rewrite, though, because you said the original script was terrorists.
It was terrorists.
And then he changed it to robbers, but very humorously and geniusly kept them as terrorists. Like, not, but like he utilized.
Yeah, totally.
It would have been. It sounds weird. It would have been a lot more boring, also, if they had been terrorists.
Well, because there would have been no like twist. There's no double cross.
You
There's
do
no...
add so much humor with that, which sounds weird to say just saying it, but watching it, like the scene. I mean, I was cracking up with Red Dawn. I don't know. Who cares?
About them in Life magazine.
So I think it's kind of all three. It's like the two writers obviously added a bunch of different things to it. And then McTiernan came in, and the way he films and like the way he operates is such an interesting way because he likes to film in a nearly sequential manner.
Oh, wow.
So, and he also, he was saying in the commentary, he doesn't like to do a rehearsal and he likes to film in a nearly sequential manner. So he said, I like my actors to find the characters while we're creating this movie. And so he was saying like Bruce Willis like kind of found the character at halfway through and they actually went back and did a reshoot of that moment. And he goes, great job, John. That moment after the fight was later when they'd figured out who John McClane was. John McClane's a man who hates himself.
I'm sorry, what moment are you talking about?
The moment I was talking about that I liked after he gets in a fight with his
I'm
wife.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No. At the beginning when he gets into a fight.
When he's standing in the mirror and he's like, why'd you do that? Okay,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Good work with that, John, or whatever he says there.
Yeah.
That was a reshoot after they'd realized who John was. John's a man who hates himself and his actions and is just like...
So that was an added moment, him talking to himself there.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And that was added as they like figured out and he's really like, he's pretty loose about it sounds like. And like they didn't have an ending to the movie as they were shooting the movie.
Oh, shoot.
They did not know what the robbers' plot to get away was for a really long time. And the way you know that is if you watch when the robbers show up in that truck and they all come out of the semi, there's no ambulance there. Because the idea of putting the ambulance there came later. And then McTiernan said,
they shot sequentially.
Yeah, they shot pretty much sequentially. And McTiernan, when they were doing the like first like watch through of the movie, him and D'Souza noticed it. And McTiernan was like, fuck it. If they notice it 2 hours later, they're like, that truck wasn't there. It's a bad movie.
That's kind of funny because that's what we joke on set all the time when it really gets down to the wire. And we're like, if they notice that the light has moved angle, like
it's a bad movie.
We failed in a bigger way than that tiny continuity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you don't care that the ambulance wasn't there because it's a good movie.
Also, I mean, even thinking about that shot, the ambulance is like in shadow. It could just be further back in the truck.
You can see the back.
Yeah,
you can see the wall of the truck. But so now that we've like seen the movie, we can actually kind of talk about the book and how it like moved.
Yeah.
So the original book is a 60-year-old detective going to California for Christmas to see his estranged 40-year-old daughter.
Okay.
And they get trapped in this building over the course of 3 days somehow. And there's all this stuff going on. And our 60-year-old lead, in the end moments of it, drops his 40-year-old daughter. Like in that scene where Alan Rickman goes out the window, it's him dropping his daughter out the window, and she dies.
Oh, God.
So it's a little darker.
Yeah.
Little?
Yeah, a little bit. So that's Jeb Stewart's edition. Or a real impact to this movie is aging it down to Bruce Willis's age, and then changing it to be about a husband going to his wife to say I'm sorry, because Jeb Stewart tells a story of how he got into a fight with his wife one night, and then left to go like blow off some steam. Went for a drive. He was driving down the highway, and he almost hit a like refrigerator box that was in the road. He actually did hit it. He saw it and thought, oh fuck, I can't get away, I'm gonna die, and then hit it, and it turned out to be empty. But then he immediately went, oh, I need to say I'm sorry to my wife. So, and then he was like, oh man, that's what the movie is. The movie's a man trying to say I'm sorry to my wife, but then bad stuff happens and gets in the way of I'm saying I'm sorry to my wife.
So he gave a lot to this script. That's a big,
yeah. And then like they added Bruce Willis in and McTiernan, who was like, you can't have terrorists. It needs to be robbers.
Yeah.
And then they brought in D'Souza, who added a lot of that humor into it. And McTiernan really wanted it to be comedic as well.
Yeah.
And then Bruce Willis, at first, he was like, we can't change the script anymore. We can't change the script anymore, is what his agents were saying, apparently. But then they were like, it's going to be funny. And he was like, oh, fuck, I would love to be funny.
He's like, oh, that's the way you're taking it.
And so that's kind of like how it all ended up coming together.
Which in Bruce Willis came from, I haven't seen Moonlighting, but comedy.
Yeah.
He came from comedy.
Pretty much a sitcom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then like the end with the car inside the car and the ambulance coming out of it, D'Souza stole that from his own movie.
Oh.
He did a made-for-TV movie version of The Spirit, where that's the same way the robbers were going to get away in that.
You know, I can't say we don't use...
I mean, the other day I was working on one of my books and I was like, you know, this is the same story in a different universe, I think. We all do it.
Using it till it works. Till the thing that you're like, that's the thing it was meant to be in.
Exactly.
That's just how it works. Also, Bruce Willis is incredible.
He's awesome in it.
Yeah.
He's so funny. He is crying when he's saying he never said sorry to his wife. He's just like, he's perfect.
He's great. It's so wild to me that, like that people were so against Bruce Willis.
He's so talented.
Yeah.
It's also just a message of just like, fuck the haters. You know, like you never know. You never know, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, this is Bruce Willis at his most Bruce Willis-y because he is
right.
comedic.
It is very funny. I forgot how funny it is.
He's
It's been a minute
hilarious.
since I'd seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's perfect.
It's an action comedy.
It is. It's incredible.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And it's a phenomenal action comedy.
No, I thought he did an absolutely amazing job in it. And I mean, like I already said, I felt like all of his, which I know part of it is the scripting, but also his acting is very real and everything feels natural. And the fact that like you can feel that he's terrified the whole movie, but he also seems super in control of himself was a very interesting balance that I felt like he played very well.
I loved the moment when he's almost been pulled out the window by the fire hose wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And I just could feel my heart like and see in his face that moment when you can't breathe because of the terror you just survived, you know? Like the moment after you thought you were about to hit a refrigerator in the middle of the road, you're like, oh, that's
Which that fire hose bit is a direct pull from a Harold Lloyd bit in a like old like 1920s movie.
Oh, cool.
Where Harold Lloyd does the exact same thing. He jumps off a building with fire hose. He breaks through the window. Fire hose falls down. It starts to pull him out. He gets it undone.
That
So like
makes
they
sense, 'cause
literally
it feels
just
like a very classic.
yeah, it's like old
slapsticky.
Hollywood slapstick bit that they just like poured it into Die Hard.
I saw them tested on Mythbusters once.
Oh, really?
It works.
From Die Hard?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've seen that one. Now that you say that. Yeah.
Which, this is such a weird thing to say that I loved, but before I forget, I just remembered I like made a mental note. So I have complained about this before. I can't remember if I've complained to you, Lolo, or just Creepa, but in action films, and I've been made fun of it because it's like, it's an action film. There's a lot of things they're surviving they shouldn't be able to. Like a specific pet peeve I've had is when people go through windows or there's glass all over the place and there's no even cuts on their skin. Like not even just a gash on their arm from like falling on glass. Like I'm not saying they have to be impaled, but like just like little bruising. But it's Hollywood and they want them to look good and hot or whatever. So like they don't get cut. So in this scene when they're like, break the glass. And then you like it him in the bathroom and there's just a blood trail was the most squeamish thing I've ever seen. But there was also a part of me that was like, thanks. Thanks. But you know, realistic. You're the first person I've ever seen to actually acknowledge that.
That is a funny thing because like Al Powell, when he like gets in the car accident, he like gets scraped up.
Yeah.
And then later in the movie, it's just like gone.
Yeah.
No. They show a guy dabbing his forehead.
Yeah.
It heals it.
We saw
It's a back to patch like in Star Wars.
Exactly.
we saw something or we talked about or I talked about it with somebody else and forgot that it wasn't on this podcast about like where you can get hit as an actor. Like there are certain spots like lead actors don't get hit on the face area because like they don't want to like break up the face.
Symmetry?
Oh.
Yeah. Was that not talked about
No,
on
you
here?
must have talked about that with someone else.
I'll have to look it up and we'll talk more about
Okay.
it next episode. So make sure you subscribe.
Yeah.
That was synergy.
Aw.
To go back to the firehouse jump.
Yeah.
So Bruce Willis understood while making this movie that, like, if this movie's good, Bruce Willis is a star.
Yep.
If this movie is bad, Bruce Willis is dead.
Yes,
Yeah.
basically.
So he was very committed. And he was like, this is a cool moment. This has to be big. It has to be good.
Yeah.
So he did the stunt.
Uh,
Oh my.
So, like, when you see him at the edge of the, like, building and he jumps with the hose wrapped around him,
Yeah.
and there's the big explosion behind him, and it looks like Bruce because his face on, you can see his
Yeah.
face. That's Bruce jumping.
Uh.
He was attached to a decelerator that's in the hose,
uh-huh.
but he is jumping. There are a couple cuts where it's the, like, longer fall of it and you don't see a face,
Yeah.
and that's supposedly a body double, but, like, a lot of that is Bruce
Where
doing
you see the
actual-
face. It's him doing it so you could see the face.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
He did the jump.
You do see the face quite a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not
which-
in the super wide, but yeah,
it's a really cool shot.
it is.
it is.
And must have been absolutely terrifying.
Were they filming on like a fake roof? Do you know how high they were? Were they on a...
I mean, most of the film
Uh-huh.
was shot on location, actually,
Oh.
at a real building.
Oh.
Nakatomi Plaza exists.
Okay.
It's not Nakatomi Plaza.
But
It's-
that's a real building they shot a lot of it at.
It is actually the 20th Century Fox
Oh.
office buildings.
Of course. Because that's convenient.
They were in construction of building it. So all the construction is real construction. They were actually building the building, and they were trying to, like, location scout and do all these things. And one of them apparently just, like, looked and was like, we have a building right there. And that's how they did it. That's the real 20th Century Fox office buildings. It's still there today. You can go to Nakatomi Plaza. They don't allow pictures anymore because so many people took pictures in front of it and around it.
Why wouldn't you? It's...
Because it's office buildings. It's like real. It was getting in the way.
Well, yeah.
Do you think that, like, once the building was done and they threw a party to celebrate, everyone came and was like a little nervous, just like a little?
Nobody came.
Yeah.
What's kind of funny about filming at the 20th Century Fox office buildings
Yeah.
is that a lot of actually all of the guns in this movie are blank firing rounds that were heavily packed because they wanted a really big explosion on them. And all of the explosions around the building were real explosions around the building,
Oh my.
except for blowing up the roof and blowing
So-
up the middle of actually some of it. But a lot of real explosions.
So did they have to do more construction than originally planned or not really? Did they do a lot of damage?
I don't think they did much damage. The problem is they actually got shut down by their own, because, like, it's 20th Century Fox production, but the people in the building complained so much that they weren't allowed to use blanks or explosions till after 5 p.m. So they became like,
Oh, so there, even though it was under construction, there were people working in the offices.
there were people working in the actual offices that were not handling the noise well.
They were just mad they were shooting a movie, even though they worked for the company shooting the movie.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they got in trouble for all of that, and then they got in a little trouble for all the explosions. And they do shoot pretty sequentially, because that's what he likes to do.
Yeah.
So one of the big things they were saving for last was the helicopter sequence.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, they were going to do it at night, because
Yeah.
the movie takes place at night.
Yeah.
And they were saying that generally they would do a helicopter sequence like that over the course of 3 nights.
Uh-huh.
They'd gotten a lot of complaints about the lights. They'd gotten complaints about the explosions. They'd gotten complaints about the sound.
From their own people.
And
I mean, it's a lot.
some
And
of the neighboring buildings and
Okay.
neighbors, especially with the explosions and the lights.
Mm-hmm.
So to clear the helicopters, they talked to the police officers and, like, the police station and all that of LA. They were cleared, instead of the 3 nights they wanted, for 2 hours.
Oh my God.
They were allowed 2 hours on Sunday night. They could do the helicopter scene. They start shooting. They shoot for a half hour before the cops shut them down. So the footage you see in the movie is the half-hour footage they got. They were just like, well, I guess we have to work with that. That's all we have. Because, like, they came in really low and really close to buildings, and the cops were like, this is unsafe. You can't do this.
And they're like, we already did.
And they're like,
Thanks,
well, I guess we're good.
bye."
Which just felt so funny because I was like, oh, we've done that. Like,
That's like how we shoot everything that we shoot outside our home.
Something that I love about films, that there are certain things that no matter how big budget you get, the same things are going to happen. Like behind the scenes on Lord of the Rings, we're like, yeah, it's raining again today, so we're not filming in the Shire. And then like stuff like that where it's like, we're filming Die Hard, but they told us we couldn't.
Yep.
So,
we
like,
got shut down.
We wanted 3 nights. We got 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the cops shut us down halfway through.
Like we've all been there.
Yeah. We've literally been on sets where cops came by and were like, you can't film here anymore. And we're like, oh, I guess we do.
I guess we can't.
We did, though. So I guess that's the footage we have.
Yeah, and it was usually around half an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
So the blowing up of the actual tower, though, obviously had to be some sort of model or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Richard Edlund and Boss Films,
Yep.
which is, by the way, because you weren't on the Ghostbusters episode, Edlund worked on Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Before he went off and did his own shit.
Yeah.
To make Ghostbusters, Edlund and a team of people that were tired of ILM all quit ILM, started their own company, and became Boss Films.
Okay.
So Edlund and his team, they built a very large scale top of
Yes.
Nakatomi Plaza. It's amazingly huge.
Yeah.
And they had their little scale helicopter.
Would you say amazingly huge? It's like, it was like 20 feet.
I don't know.
something?
I would guess it's probably like 15 feet.
15
Would
feet.
be my
I just
guess.
wanted to give people a grasp that it wasn't building sized, but it was large.
In the photos, it's definitely like it's on stands that are like above head height.
Yeah.
And then it looks like it's probably 2 of those stands high,
Okay.
is what I would guess. So I'm guessing around
Yeah.
15, 20 feet with the stands.
Okay.
And
Was their model of the top of the building.
was their model of Nakatomi. And they blew that up, obviously.
Yeah.
And then they composited that with a little bit of extra Nakatomi. And when they filmed it, well, actually, to go back a little bit, before they started filming,
Which I imagine they only built one, so
yeah.
they only got one.
So you've got
Take
one
that.
explosion. And
And they were like, I thought we'd have 3 models. And they're like, well, we thought we'd have 3 nights. We took away your other 2.
Joe Silver saw it and was like, I don't think this is going to work. You guys can't do that. Like, this isn't pull-offable,
Oh.
their producer. And they're like, well, no, we can do it. We can do it.
And they were like,
then-
did you see Ghostbusters? Or have you heard of Star Wars?
And then they blew up Nakatomi Plaza with the helicopter.
Yep.
And everyone at Boss Films was pretty unimpressed. They did not like the footage they got.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck, I guess we can't do it. I guess send it to Joe Silver and they're gonna, that's it, guys. And then apparently the next day they got a call from Joe Silver that was like, that's fucking amazing. I can't believe you pulled it off. And that's what's in the movie. And like, it's great.
Oh. That's such a fucking artist thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Because what's in the movie looks incredible.
But like, it's that moment when you're on set
Yeah.
and you see the small helicopter blow up
You know
and
how
kind of
you made it. You know what it really
fall
is.
to the ground lightly and you know what all of it
Yeah.
is. But then when you're not there,
Yeah.
I also think there is something to be said for like what you just said of when it's not your art.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things where even if I saw exactly how someone did it, if I'm not the one making it, I'm like, that's amazing. But if I'm the one who made it, I'm like, I could have done it better.
You like have to have that outside source that Silver was for them. You have to have somebody who wasn't there and saw what you used to record the Foley tell you if it sounds like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's a thing we've done before is record Foley for a thing. And that's a thing where I feel like I've often felt like, does this fucking sound like anything?
Like, is this
Yeah.
What the fuck
sound?
does this even sound like? I can't tell anymore. And then somebody else, they're like, oh, it sounds good. And you're like, oh, you'll never guess what I used.
Yeah.
You're like, no, the model helicopter. It looks real. It looks great.
Yeah.
this is a little off topic, but because we're talking Edlund,
Yeah.
so there are 2 different commentaries on the Die Hard Special Edition DVD.
Okay.
They're both weird as fuck.
Okay.
The first one is weird because it's a commentary with, I think, 3 different people. They are not in the room together, and they're not talking to each other.
Can they hear each other?
No.
Oh.
It's like they each record a commentary and they just drops it.
And they just drop pieces in.
Oh.
Because one of them is like the production designer talking about how much he loves the director. And he compliments the director, compliments the director, compliments the director. The director doesn't say anything back because he's talking about this other thing.
Oh. That sounds terrible to listen to.
Yeah.
It's very weird. They did a pretty good job because like you'll hear like the director will do like a little story and then we'll cut away from him.
Yeah.
You'll hear the other guy doing a little story, cut away from him, cut back to the director, and he's still kind of talking about the thing he was talking about before. It's very strange.
Huh.
And there's also a partial commentary from Richard Edlund.
Oh.
His commentary is on so few scenes that you can start it and watch the movie through, but there's also a menu that tells you like the scenes you can jump to, but like it doesn't just play that scene and then jump back to the menu. You have to like go back to it's very frustrating.
Mm.
And Edlund's commentary,
Sounds like you had a rough day.
Yeah.
it was weird. Edlund's commentary is so strange because it's not super interesting if you're into Die Hard, but it's very, very interesting if you are a film nerd and like just interested in like he discusses different film stocks quite a bit and like he discusses like 35 millimeter versus 60 millimeter
Okay.
and all these different things. And like when they recorded it, I'm guessing it was like the year 2000-ish.
Okay.
Because he's also really discussing like the advancements of digital film and how digital is going to change the world. And so it's kind of interesting to hear, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then he's like discussing like how that affects like work compared to film effects, like actually done on film.
Yeah.
And then digital effects. And then he talks about how the most amazing film at the time that he has seen is Stuart Little.
Okay.
And how he's just like amazed at the hair and the detail they were able to get in Stuart Little because they're able to use digital effects. And it was just
wow.
really cool to hear.
Yeah.
And then he also did talk about, which I thought was really cool and very spot on, because he worked on Star Wars, he worked on Ghostbusters, and he was discussing that the easiest effects were Star Wars. The reason being, in a fantastical environment like Star Wars, the story dictates that the effects can kind of be whatever the fuck you want.
Mm.
You're not trying to sell a 5-inch helicopter as a real helicopter with weight.
And Die Hard's the hardest movie
Yeah.
because exactly, Die Hard takes place here, now, in reality.
You have a grasp
Yeah.
of what it's supposed to look like.
Exactly. Because it was like the TIE fighters and the X-Wings and the way they fly together and the way that they like interact in a
It can look
dogfight.
surreal.
It is not realistic.
Yeah. It just has to look good, not realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, but he was like, but Die Hard, it has to feel. All of it has to feel possible.
He's not wrong. That's a very...
And I was like, that's so astute and exact and true.
Yeah, the Death Star blowing up can just look pretty. It can look like whatever the fuck you want. The top of that tower blowing up has to look like the top of a tower blowing up.
Yeah. Because like the Death Star blowing up, it doesn't matter that there isn't fire in space. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody can like nobody. See, nobody cares.
Yeah.
You
Kinda
get
like-
that now?
I do get it. I feel like Captain America in that one bit in Avengers. I get that one.
But yeah, it is funny that like his commentary is very little to do with the movie.
It sounds good though.
He's got a lot of other thoughts he wanted to share.
He
And
does.
they happened to be watching Die Hard.
And apparently it wasn't enough to try to edit it into the other commentary. I don't know. It was
Also,
nonsense.
they made it sounds like they recorded it so long after Die Hard that who knows if he remembered Die Hard.
Yeah, because they did it for a commemorative DVD.
If you asked me about the onset experience of something we shot a year ago,
You talk about Stuart Little?
I'd probably talk about Stuart Little. 100%. Because if that was the most recent film I'd seen, yeah.
Yeah, if we tried to record something with me today, I'd be like, so House of Gucci.
The most recent thing you saw today was
Well,
Die
yeah,
Hard,
that's
Amber.
I was thinking of something I saw in theaters, and you know that.
It was minutes ago.
She's forgotten it already. Something I noticed watching the film this time that I thought was really cool was how some of the set decoration choices that I feel like they added in really helped you like
Turn on the calendar.
Yeah, talking about the calendar. Helped you like kind of have a grasp of where you are and where he is in relation to the bad guys that otherwise you would not have, because everything kind of looks the same and going through the construction that you've never seen before.
I had not thought of it, and it didn't even like phase my brain.
Yeah.
But then when you said it, you were like, my brain was like, oh my God, she's so
There
right.
were a lot of little things they did. Like the first time he walks past the calendar with the naked lady on it and he kind of looks at it the way he's looked at women the whole movie, and you're like, that's funny. But then when he's going
You're like,
back
it's
past
the 80s.
it the next time, it serves as a marker to tell you where he is. And then a few minutes later, the bad guys pass it and you're like, oh, they're hot on his tail because he just passed that. Like a lot of little things like that. And there was one place where like Merry Christmas was spray painted on the wall up on the roof where the yellow wires were, where they were planting the bombs. And like you saw that a couple times. And so then when Hans went up there and he was near that stuff, that even if you're not like consciously noticing it, it's creating a familiarity in your brain that you wouldn't from just all these plain walls.
Yeah, you're so right. Because like the gray construction would just blend in your brain.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything after you've seen 3 rooms that look the same. Like they created like a map for you with distinct visuals to help you feel like you knew what was going on, even if you didn't quite understand the layout.
And even like each of the construction rooms were different rooms, and he kind of like is saying it as he's going through them. He's like, oh, that room's computer room, that's construction level, that's this thing.
As he's mapping it too. Yeah, helps you map it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that until you said it.
Yeah.
God, you're such a genius. You're so astute. Like Richard Edlund.
I also, and this is like just like a little thing, that when he's like at one point hiding in the shadowy room and one of the bad guys comes in and you're like, oh, it's tense and shadowy and he's gonna hunt for him, and the guy just fucking turns all the lights on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like great little stuff in there in the movie where it's like just slightly unexpected because they're just like, we're a fucking comedy, bitches, you didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
But like not. Because also like not
It's
a
still
comedy.
really tense.
Yeah.
Good. It's still a good action film.
Yeah.
With wit.
Because there's a lot of like really like beautifully built moments of tension, like the moment with Alan Rickman and him meeting
when
for the
they-
first
Yeah.
time.
Such a good.
That's a good
scene.
moment.
And then he hands him the gun, and you're like, no, I know things. Like, that's perfect dramatic irony.
It is.
That's dramatic irony because it's 2 things. They're like, they don't know what's going on, but we know what's going on.
But then he does know what's going on.
I know.
Which is also like a great moment of kind of turning that on its head too, because I've seen so many movies where the hero gives, you know, like something like that happens, but they actually do it. Like they actually give him a
Yeah.
gun and they get one-upped in that moment. And that's the moment where they have to like get the upper hand again. And I loved that in that scene. He's like, I'm not a fucking idiot. You know, he's like, no, I didn't give you a loaded gun.
Also,
Yeah.
like, obviously, we all know Alan Rickman is a god, but Alan Rickman is
Is a god?
a god. Like,
The German accent, the American accent.
he's so great in that scene, and also just in general, like, at the very beginning when they're coming in and he's riding up in the elevator, I love that he's not carrying a weapon, and everyone around him is such a like distinct alpha energy that he's just standing there with his hands in his pockets the whole time, and they get out of the elevator and they're shooting people and he's just standing there with his hands in his pockets. Like,
Yeah.
he's got presence.
He's also the shortest of all of them, and he has no weapon, but he's the leader.
Yeah, there's no doubt in your mind.
Well-
And part of that is how well it's shot too. It is shot with such focus to him. And
The
power to
cinematographer
him.
is Jan de Bont. So, just by the way,
Okay.
he did a lot of Paul Verhoeven stuff.
Okay.
He actually went on to direct Speed, which is kind of funny because Speed is called Die Hard on a Bus. So like, you're like, I want to do it harder. Like,
You know, I really liked the cinematography in it.
It was really good.
And even the tension that they built with the cinematography.
yes.
Like there was one shot in particular I just wanted to talk about. Okay, maybe 2, but that in the moment I was like, oh, that shot when Al Pal is first coming into the building to look around before he knows anything is wrong, and he's starting down that hallway, and you can see out of focus just the guy holding the gun around the corner, and you're like, if he literally goes 2 steps forward, they're gonna shoot him.
yep.
And he turns around and leaves, and you never pan to see the guy. You don't need to see anymore, just his fingers on the gun, and that's it. You don't need anymore. And I loved that.
Yeah.
I freaking loved that shot and thought that was such a good moment.
Like, not seeing that guy's face makes that guy not a like person. He's an object.
Yeah.
And it's not about his emotions. It's not about him worrying whether or not he's going to get caught. It's about Al maybe dying in a second.
I'm curious if the other shot you're about to mention is the one I'm thinking of now that you mentioned that shot.
I don't know if it is. The other one I was just going to say for kind of building up to something that you know what's coming is the scene where he's dragging himself into the bathroom. I really liked that moment because, like, you know what just happened with the glass and you know that he got away. So you know that it's going to be gruesome and stuff. And I just kind of liked the way that you're, like, already getting squeamish before it even gets to his feet and kind of the way they build that moment up of, like, oh, he just, like, fucking cut himself to bits to get out of there. And I liked the way that was shot.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking that the like talking about the out of focus gun, but not showing it or cutting to it or panning to it or anything when Al is walking in, is a tool they use more than once in the film, because they also do it when Alan Rickman has just killed the coke snorting guy. They never show him dead distinctly.
I did like that
but
shot.
when they're showing Alan Rickman in the next shot, his head on the back of the chair is in the foreground, so out of focus, you don't even necessarily realize what you're looking at first because you can't see it at all. It's so blurry. But it is the bloody back of his head, and there's blood down the back of the chair.
And again, I feel like you were talking about with the, like, alpha energy that Alan Rickman gives off. I feel like that shot is another one of, like, it's not a moment for him. There's no showing that character's death to even, like, get a, like, out of the audience. There's no, like,
matter at all.
gruesome. It's like, it does not matter one bit.
Yes.
So to jump back a second and talk about the Alan Rickman American accent.
Yeah.
So that scene was not written in the movie initially.
Oh.
There was no scene where McClane and him actually got together. It didn't exist. And they were kind of like, oh, that's kind of a problem in this movie.
Yeah.
And then one day at Crafty, people were just like joking around and like they were joking about how like, oh, everyone does like their British accent and like, oh, Alan, can you like do an American accent? And like he was like, well, I can't do American, but like I can do like this like Californian, and like that's what he was starting to do. He was doing this like Californian like jokey accent, and D'Souza was standing by. He was like, that's fucking brilliant. That's how we do it. Just because the writer was there. Like, he just happened to be on set when that joke happened. He was like, oh, we're fucking write that scene down.
That's how we do it. Oh, it's such a good scene.
And then he was like writing that scene, and he was like, oh, and then he'll see John McClane's feet. So that gives us to the scene where he like says to break the glass, because we know he's seen John McClane has no shoes.
Oh.
It's such a good moment too to just like applaud Alan Rickman's acting now for a second, because we also talked about Bruce Willis's. The moment where you see Hans realize like, oh, new tactic, and go into the like screaming and like being totally terrified and pretending to be that guy. And like it took me a second to figure out what he was doing, because I was like, what's your play? Oh shit.
Yeah.
And like
you're one of them.
Yeah. And just again showing that like his weapon is his mind, that whole movie, that he doesn't always have a gun because he can just.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole time they're like, how are you going to open the last lock?
Yeah.
How are you going to open the last lock? And he's like, I need the FBI here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like, I need the FBI.
Yeah.
Like, and then when they're like, the police are here. And he's like, well, it's early, but it's a necessary step.
Yeah, I know. The whole time you're just like, the fuck is Alan Rickman up to?
He's like, no, I need
Which
the
you can
police.
like, unlike terrorists, because then there's no plot to being a terrorist.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, they just want the
I also feel like it's much more fascinating too at the end, like they keep saying, I mean, like it was just about money.
Yeah.
He just wanted the money, you know?
Just because we talked about everybody else. Is it Bonnie Bedelia?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is such a name.
Yeah.
She's so great too.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Also, like, great call on Bruce Willis's part, I guess, because also the movie would not be as good if you didn't have someone with alpha energy to rival Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make that man a casting agent. Fuck.
That she can just go in there and be like, nah, I can hold my own against you.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
Yeah, she feels like alpha against Alan Rickman. She feels great against him. Like,
Yeah.
she feels great against the Coke guy,
Yeah.
which he's so funny too.
He's very funny.
It's a Rolex.
He's perfect.
Apparently, he had been cast in like that role in the serious version of like stock exchange guy and guy like a million times.
Oh.
And so like he had a blast just being like, I'm gonna take it to fucking 11.
And he does.
Yeah.
Dude, from the very beginning, just to be like, it's a Rolex. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
such the douchiest.
Well, when he's
I've
like sniffing at the
ever
beginning even.
seen someone be.
I was taking a phone call.
He's so
Closest phone.
he's
Yeah.
detestable. It's so perfect. You hate him more than the robbers who are murdering
You
people.
do. He did such a good job of playing a character that, every time we would cut to Alan Rickman, I was like, I know you're doing wrong, but I can't wait to watch you in this scene. And whenever it cut to him, I was like, oh God, this guy again.
I make $1 million deals before breakfast.
Oh, and the scene with him and Alan Rickman. God.
Yes.
Oh my God, that scene's so good.
Their
I'm sorry,
what I can only call anti-chemistry is
Yeah.
so good in that scene.
Which is such a great scene too, seeing the two extremes of like Alan Rickman's character is bossing people around and doing all this shit, but you're like, no, he knows what he's doing. That's what makes him the villain. Versus this guy that thinks he's an Alan Rickman.
I'm sorry, I missed that episode of 60 Minutes. What are you saying? Like, it's so good.
He's like, oh, you figured that all out on your own. You're a genius. And it just whoosh, right over that guy's head.
Yeah. Which, before we completely leave, I was also just going to say that, Bonnie Bedelia, I thought did a great job. Super impressive, especially in the scene, with Alan Rickman, the way she holds her own. And also, like, there were several moments throughout the film where I was like, this is the 80s. We're going to have a topless woman. We're going to have random calendars of topless women and stuff. And there were moments where I was like, is that what she's going to become? And she never does.
No.
And that added so much to the script.
Yeah.
And the way that, the entire time, even when she's being held hostage, it feels like she's completely in control of herself.
Yeah.
And trying to control the
Which if you see
situation.
her in Parenthood too, oh my gosh, she has
She's
such
so
boss ass bitch energy. She's
you said she's the mom of all
incredible.
moms.
She is
You
the mom
gotta
of all
have
moms on
some.
that.
Yeah, we've got the topless woman, we've got the nudie calendar, but we also have greased up Bruce Willis, shirtless.
You guys keep showing me movies with greased up shirtless men. Is this like your gift to me?
You're welcome.
It's
And this
what
movie-
makes silver hard.
This movie, at its heart, is a love story in my mind between McLean and Al.
100%.
It is. That moment where they see each other at the end, I'm a freaking teary. I like
Bonnie
it so
is so
much.
funny in the Movies That Made Us bit. She's talking about how, like, at the end of the movie is this beautiful romantic scene between John McClane and Al Powell.
It is. And her face in the background too is perfect when they're hugging, and she's very clearly her character, which is appropriate, is like, the fuck?
Yeah,
fuck
and
is
that
this
was such
dude?
a funny moment when I was like watching it and I'm getting teary for Al and John, and she's just there, and I'm like, she has no idea why her husband is suddenly like this.
I know, and I'm like,
man.
they're gonna get to take their kids to the playground together.
I love that Al at one point tells him he loves him. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what you need in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Al's a real man. He knows.
While being the most like what people would probably consider like stereotypical masculine movie, it's also like one of the least toxically masculine movies ever, because he's like, I never said I'm sorry and I fucking should have, and I love you, and they're just, it's a very
So that's
like,
one of the big things that made this movie different than action movies of the 80s.
Yeah.
Because, like, it does have an emotional heart to it.
yeah.
It doesn't have a 230-pound Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, giant buffed ass motherfucker dude, just
Yeah.
like trying to be tough the whole time. It's got Bruce Willis in his, like, oh, that's a pretty fit dad
He's
bod.
like a
Yeah.
realistically fit human, not a
Yeah.
Hollywood fit
You're
human.
like, oh, that's a guy who works out a lot.
yeah.
And he's like cracking jokes and having fun, as opposed to just being like, I'm the toughest motherfucker.
Well, and even
Yeah.
like the entire thing between him and Hans, even though there's obviously so much action and a lot of killing, the whole film is a battle of wits, really.
Yes.
It is very much about John trying to outsmart Hans. It's not just, I'll punch you harder than anyone's ever been punched and I'll save the day.
Yeah.
And even that final moment, it was cool finally getting to see that gun trick, because I had heard about that with taping it to his back.
Yeah.
Even that final moment, which is like a violent final moment, it's still outsmarting someone.
Yeah.
It's not just coming in, guns blazing. It's very much like, oh, I'm thinking ahead.
Well, I mean,
Well,
it's
like
a genius
you-
moment because the fucking machine gun is empty.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, like you noticed earlier in the film, he checks how many bullets he has multiple times in
Every
the film.
time.
Yeah.
He checks to see how many bullets he has. And yeah, that last time, machine gun's empty. He's got 2 bullets.
Which isn't just great because it's like characterily consistent. It's also great because it shows you the stakes.
Yeah.
It shows you that what he's up against.
Yeah.
And which is kind of like another nice thing because like
Yeah.
if you didn't show and count the bullets and all those things, like you wouldn't know McClane only has the 2 bullets.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
2 men and they've got I don't know what, but like you know what I mean. And like
Yeah.
it's a really good way of building stakes.
I also kind of like the fact that like throughout the film, when he keeps trying to get the cops to come and they won't, and which is like weirdly great.
Come to Papa.
Yeah. I also like the fact that he isn't the stereotypical like action hero lead too. That it's not just like he is cocky thinking I can take care of it. He's so scared and he
"Help
wants someone else to come.
me."
When he thinks they're coming, he's like, yeah. And then they start driving away. He's like, no.
Well, and once the
ordering a
cops
fucking
are
pizza.
there, he's totally down to just sit there. He just sits there under that window for a very long time.
Yeah.
Until he
Yeah.
realizes
Until
things
they
are about to go
start trying to
south.
go inside.
He's like, this isn't right. This isn't right.
Well, because he doesn't want other cops to die.
yeah.
He doesn't want the other cops to die. That's why he starts acting, is because
Yeah.
other cops start dying. And he's amazing. So a fact that I wasn't going to share,
Yeah.
and then Lola was like, you have to share that, is that the costume department had 17 different undershirts made for this movie at different points of wear that he wears throughout the movie.
Good.
So that's how that went, was 17 undershirts.
I do like hearing about that kind of stuff. I think
Yeah.
that's fun.
It's one of those things you don't think about that, yeah, they're like, oh, yeah, no, we have to change you into number 11. Oh, we're going to go back. We're going to change you to number 6.
What does it say about me that I actually thought about that while watching the movie? Because there was one
Yeah.
point when it's like gotten real dirty where I
It's
was like,
full brown. By
yeah, I
the
was like,
end.
is that did they give him a brown undershirt for that, or did they make a white one really dirty, or did I had that thought at a moment? I'm not
By
kidding.
the end, it looks like it's just a brown.
Yeah, it looks like just a brown
No,
undershirt.
because it's got some patches of white, and it's
Yeah,
like
but
bloody.
Not by the
and-
very end. That's like
By the very end, he's
undershirt.
shirtless.
Undershirt. Oh, okay, fine. Undershirt like 15 has.
It's not a
patches
brown
still,
undershirt. That's his
17.
skin, Lolo.
Oh my god, no, it's like brown by that.
Patrick
the last
knows
time you
he
see
pays
it,
very close attention once the shirt is fully off.
I'm very into his shirtlessness. So the stunts of this movie are incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
The stunt coordinator is Charlie Piccineri? I don't know. Picerni. I've heard it said even. I can't do
I'd
it.
have to see it. I'm too tired.
Pick a Ranny.
Pickering?
That's it. I think.
Just Pickering?
That sounds right.
Well, good job, Charlie.
Yeah, no, he's incredible. He was a red shirt in Star Trek.
Oh,
like
cool.
original
Nice.
Star Trek.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so he makes a bunch of really great stunts in this movie. But one of the reasons the stunts are so good in this movie, he says, is because these are all real locations that existed. And the script was super unfinalized. So him and D'Souza were able to walk around set and be like, oh, those chains hanging there are cool. Oh, that cart's interesting. Oh, this shaft is cool for this. Like, and they're able to write to their environment, which I think is really interesting
Yeah.
and cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also interesting, I think, the way this story weaves in with itself and people's motivations. And even the fact that, like, Carl, who's just hunting him so mercilessly, and the fact that at the beginning you have that moment of Hans, like, flippantly being like, tell Carl his brother's dead. But then it really gives a certain weight to, like, because, like, obviously all the robbers want him gone because he's a problem. But that fight between him and Carl has so much more weight because it's like, oh, he's fighting because he's not just mad about money. He's mad about his brother.
Yeah.
And it really adds something to that fight scene versus just like the robber wants him out of the way.
And he even says that.
Yeah.
He says, we're both professionals, but this is personal.
This is personal. Yeah.
That henchman is actually ballet dancer Alexander Godunov.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really believe that this movie is the bane of my existence.
Because everyone wants to cast you as a German bad guy because of that.
Yeah, because like this is where like it becomes like, oh, every 6'2" blonde dude is just a henchman.
Yeah.
Like, and that was like their requirements to be like those henchmen is like they had to be over 6 foot and like vaguely European.
Yeah.
And so like I would have been cast as one of them, I'm sure. And especially with the long hair, they all have the long hair. Like it's Alexander's fault.
Yeah.
That dick.
Yeah.
I mean, like I get it. I mean, I've did ballet, and I
and, like,
took
they
German in
say-
high school.
And if someone had offered you to be in Die Hard, you thought, well, okay.
Probably, yeah.
Is he someone who does a lot of acting or mostly stunts? Because I know they love to, a lot of dancers.
Yeah.
He's
are
mostly a
great for
dancer,
stunts.
and then he's done some movies.
Okay. That's
He's,
cool.
I don't. He's not really a stunt guy. And if
Yeah.
like you watch that fight,
Is it a double for most of it?
no,
Oh.
this sounds rude. I don't think that the hits are really that
The
well
best.
done.
Gotcha.
I think his movement is nice,
Yeah.
but like watching him and Bruce, it's kind of the loosest fight in the movie, honestly.
Also, like, I'm not entirely sure how he survived it, but it was a nice moment for Al at the end.
Yeah. But talking about the stunts, the elevator shaft, or I guess it's actually the air duct
Oh,
shaft,
yeah.
when he's hanging onto the machine gun and then he's going to go to the others.
Yes.
Yeah.
That drop was not supposed to happen.
Oh.
He was supposed to, the machine gun dropped him and he was going to grab the ledge, and that's the end of the stunt.
A stuntman fell.
The stuntman fell.
Oof.
There was a pad and he is okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But like, so they shot it, stuntman fell, and they're like, fuck, I guess we can't redo that today right now.
Yeah.
And then I think the cinematographer was like, we could make this work
He's like, no,
if we
that looked
just
good.
yeah. It was either him or the editor. Somebody was like, we could make this work if we just get a shot of McLean catching somewhere else. And they're like, yeah, we could do that. So then they edited a couple shots together, and then it works. And
It does.
moves the story along. But like, I just
Yeah.
love that, like, that moment. And some of the things change because he's now 2 floors lower, but like, whatever. Also, the dropping of Alan Rickman
Yeah.
is an awesome shot.
Yes.
And like, it's such a cool shot. And at the time, it was kind of an impossible shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, blue screening and green screening is kind of okay-ish, but like, the compositing they do in that shot
Oh, it's flawless. It's so beautiful.
is gorgeous.
Nothing looks semi-transparent or gray like in
No.
a lot of compositing. From
Yeah.
that time. Yeah, it's flawless.
So it's blue screening,
Okay,
and they actually dropped Alan Rickman.
you can tell that.
Yeah.
So and Rickman was like down for it. He was like,
Yeah.
yeah, we like, let's do this.
They just drop him onto a blue mat.
They have a blue mat far, and it's a very big drop. So it's a blue mat far enough away that there's no blue spill on his body throughout the drop.
That's
And
why
they
he
light
looks
him
so
well enough.
clean.
That's why he's so
It's
clean.
just kind of a drop.
It was a 40-foot drop.
Oh my God.
So he did a 40-foot drop himself.
He did a 40-foot drop himself.
Nice.
To tie it back to Ghostbusters, because we've got the Richard Edlund team, and we've got
Yeah.
the stunt coordinator from Star Trek. They had Alan Rickman holding on to what was supposed to be like the rope, which was the watch.
Yeah.
He's holding onto the thing, and the guy from the Ghostbusters crew, who was the pyrotechnics guy that blew up the maid cart to the point that she like freaked out,
Yes.
was the guy holding Alan Rickman up. And they were like, all right, we're going to count to 3 and we're going to drop you, Alan. And the stunt coordinator went up to pyrotechnic
Oh my God.
Ghostbusters
Crazy
dude
pyrotechnic
No.
guy.
and was like, drop him on 2.
I knew it.
So they go 1, 2. He drops Alan Rickman, and that's why Alan Rickman's like face of terror is so genuine, because he was not ready to drop 40 feet to the blue mat, and he was fine. It is the last shot they did of Alan Rickman for the movie, though.
Just in case.
Exactly.
He wound
just
up in the
case.
hospital.
That's so rude.
Kind of dangerous though, because you do have to land well dropping 40 feet. You kind of want to be prepared for that.
You have
But I guess
40
you've got
feet.
40 feet to get prepared.
Still, it feels like an insult. We're like, Alan, I'm not sure you can act this. So
I mean,
We're going to scare the
you don't
pants
want to
off
brace
of you.
yourself for it, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of
Yeah,
those
that
things
too.
that like, because like in Pumpkin Carver, our sketch,
Yeah.
that's one of my least favorite things is like when the thing sprays at me
Yeah.
at the first spray, and then like the more spray, like you can kind of see me like bracing for the
Yeah,
spray.
flinching before it hits.
And like the kid in Gremlins talked about that with the orange juice machine of like doing that, like preparing for it.
Yeah.
It's hard to not prepare for a hit you know is about to happen.
that was
Yeah.
what they talked about was one of the biggest issues. Carrie Fisher said she had when filming Star Wars, and she had to shoot the gun, quote unquote, was she kept bracing right before she pulled the trigger or before like one of the fake shots would hit her. And they were like, no, it hasn't gone off yet, Carrie.
Oh.
She's like, but it's gonna.
So this is just like a fun little Ghostbusters trivia. So the guy that you guys were like, that's the news guy. That guy's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He's the dickless man from Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah, he is. You're
It is
right.
true this man has no dick.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that.
He's great.
He is great.
Yeah.
Is one of those actors the teacher in Breakfast Club?
Yes.
Okay.
The cop is the teacher
Yeah,
in
the
Breakfast
cop.
Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When he came on, I was like, it's the authority figure of the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
him.
He's great, too.
Yeah. Also, the honest trailer of this is really funny. Go to Screen Junkies, watch the
okay,
honest
cool.
trailer. I highly recommend it.
They do good work.
They do good work. So we said Bruce Willis is great.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But just to let you know, movie poster had his face and a gun. They took away his face, put the tower,
Yep.
and then after the movie came out and was doing so well in theaters, they put his face back
They got to
on it.
share that poster, him
That's
in that
great.
tower.
Yeah. They kept the tower. The tower stayed.
I know. I've seen the posters of him in the tower.
It's like
Yeah.
split frame.
That's the new one.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He got back on the poster.
All right. We've got two things left to talk about. This movie and its genre.
Okay.
So do we, I mean, I think, and it definitely did. It did create a genre. It created this genre of movie, what you just experienced. This movie didn't exist before this.
Action comedy.
Well, the action comedy existed.
Yeah.
But like the way this action comedy exists is partially different.
Yeah.
And then the thing that it really created was the man trapped in a location fighting a force of some kind.
Yes.
So, Under Siege is Die Hard in a boat. Sudden Death, I don't remember what that is. Air Force One is
I love Air
Die
Force
Hard on a
One.
Plane.
It is.
Con Air, Die Hard on a Plane. Derailed, Die Hard on a Train.
Not to be confused with Snakes on a Plane. With the, not
Which
Die Hard.
is
Yeah.
Die Hard on a Plane with snakes.
Yeah. Speed. Yeah.
Die Hard on a Bus. Olympus Has Fallen, Die Hard in the White House. And the other two, Angel Has Fallen and whatever the third one is. The Angel Has Fallen is the third one. There's a middle one. Those are all just Die Hard in different locations. White House Down, Die Hard in the White House again. So like that's the genre now. That is this.
A bottled.
Well, and there was that movie. I can't even remember what it was. It's not like a big one. That even though I hadn't seen Die Hard, that I think The Rock did. That was literally just like a tower is collapsing. He's trying-
Skyfall.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's
Not Skyfall.
no.
Skyscraper.
Yeah, something like that.
High
Sky.
rise.
Sky high. Yeah.
I think it was like High Rise. Or
Sky
something.
high. No,
Yeah.
that's a different movie.
But no, that is Die Hard
Yeah.
with The Rock.
Yeah.
Yes,
You're
it
correct.
is.
Yeah. So Die Hard made that genre.
Yes.
Yes.
From now on, you can't do that action movie without it being it's Die Hard in this location.
Yeah.
Correct.
Which like I'm down. Like let's make a Die Hard.
Okay.
I am curious to see all the other Die Hards now.
I love them. I really do. I like them a lot.
Because, like, I want to know, like, do we just do that again in a different location?
It kind of, watching this one, I was like, it is kind of weird that we do more Die Hards, considering the cool thing about this Die Hard is that he's just
Yeah.
a beat cop.
Yeah.
But, like, now he's the beat cop that fought the 12 terrorists in Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
Which, something I meant to say, there were points watching this that I really liked, that it kind of felt almost like MacGyver meets like Home Alone. Because there was one bit where he like sees something and rigs it in such a way that I was like, and like they're all stuck in one building. That and because of the comedy, it almost felt like
You're not wrong.
Yeah, and I like that about it.
that's like kind of like Bruce Willis kind of has that feeling.
Yeah,
You know? I don't know when MacGyver came out.
it was
but, like,
70s, I think.
Was it?
Well, the TV show was.
No
Yeah.
way it's that old.
Yeah,
It's been around a minute.
it was like 1977.
You think Richard Dean Anderson's that old?
Yeah,
I can't find a cell phone to prove you wrong.
I'm gonna look it up. Okay, 1985.
Yeah. Told ya.
Okay, it was still before this.
Still before
though.
this.
Yeah, just by 3 years. 85 to 92. But yeah, like Bruce Willis has that like, I don't know, that vibe of like, he can overcome anything with just like his sheer intellectual ingenuity.
Yeah.
Like in a weird way. And I like it. That was what's weird about the Death Becomes Her is that it it's like a normal like rom-com-y type thing with like supernatural elements, and then all of a sudden like in the third act it becomes Die Hard, and you're like, what the fuck?
It does.
Why did we do that?
The only really unbelievable thing in Die Hard that you have to just like just like let it go is the idea that tape would stick to bloody, greased up, naked Bruce Willis.
We're gonna have to test this theory.
I think that's just a Christmas miracle.
I think it's time to tape a gun to my back, Lola. We gotta test this
But you
theory.
have to be like greasy, like you just got out of an oil pit
Oh, we can oil me up.
and covered in blood,
We can oil me up.
and the tape will not stick.
We'll see.
Okay.
If it's Christmas tape, it might. That was some Christmas tape.
Because it has the magic of Christmas miracles.
Exactly.
In the tape. Okay.
Oh, this is a funny bit of trivia, and then we can have our real discussion. So the German version of this film,
Like the German dub.
yeah, like the one released in Germany,
Yeah.
they removed all the German names and changed them to be more British, and they decided they were Irish activists that like went freelance because at the time they didn't want any sort of German terrorism in a movie, because at the time the Red Army faction was actually still kind of a big terrorist group in Germany. And so they're like, let's ignore German terrorists for a minute.
That's fair.
I feel like I remember hearing that a long, long time ago about this movie. Because I remember hearing about a movie that the German characters, they made them Irish.
Oh, yeah, it must have been this.
So it must have been this one.
That's
There was
funny.
something else that like the director talked about, was wanting to have them not be like, the other problem with terrorists is it always feels like it's political in some weird way, and like it just gets uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that is why Die Hard's kind of lasted the ages, as opposed to other movies that kind of get like, ooh, that really represented this thing real poorly.
Yeah.
But this movie doesn't really have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what it does have is the magic of Christmas.
Yes, it does.
So now we've all watched it.
Yeah.
And the age-old question to end our Christmas party is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
It's a fucking Christmas movie.
Yes.
100%.
Why?
Well, personally, I do think that setting...
Because it fills you with Christmas joy?
I mean, I'm
And
getting
spirit?
to it. I feel like setting does affect it. And I feel like if a movie is... There's like different variations on what a Christmas movie is. If a movie is set at Christmas time and there's general themes of it that heavily in it, because there's a lot of stuff with like, you know, even just like in shots, like the trees and the tape being there from the presents and like stuff like, and the party and the reason he's there to see her, like all of it is very...
It's Christmas Eve.
And then honestly, yeah, a lot of the stuff with like love and camaraderie and like the like whole thing with, yeah, the Christmas miracles and them, like, yeah, I feel like it is.
Okay. Lola?
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
Why?
This is a weird discussion.
Why?
It's a Christmas movie because it takes place at Christmas and they talk about at Christmas. And there's lots of, it's like, gives you like feelings too, you know, and stuff. And it's about materialism.
Oh my
Lola
God.
wins. Lola wins.
You do.
What do you think, Patrick?
I mean, I do. But that's because, like, I open up my Christmas... Like, I think anything that takes place or discusses Christmas, I'll call it a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3 is a Christmas movie. This is a Christmas movie. Lethal Weapon's a Christmas movie. Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
Yep.
They don't have to have Santa Claus if it takes place at Christmas. And I think, actually, like, if I was going to really fight about it, my actual fight argument is... Can the plot happen without Christmas? Would the exact same plot happen if that wasn't Christmas that day?
No.
So like Gremlins, he would not have been given the gremlin if it wasn't Christmas.
And if it
Day.
wasn't for Christmas, John McClane would not have come into town to see his kids.
John
And there
would
wouldn't have been a party.
John would not be visiting if it wasn't for Christmas.
Yeah.
And they probably did the heist planned to have the building somewhat empty.
Well, yeah, because they wanted to get that one guy.
Exactly.
And at the beginning, when John comes in, he's like, everyone else has cleared out. because the building's being built, but also because everyone's gone for the holidays. So it's
Yeah.
just like the
building was
higher ups with the
emptiest
party.
It could be with the head guy being in the building.
Exactly.
It was a perfect scenario for them.
Yeah, they planned it purposefully. Because, yeah, they couldn't have taken the building had it been a full workday with 30 floors of people.
Yeah.
No, they had to go on that one floor and know everyone would be there.
Exactly. So the movie can't work without Christmas.
Yeah.
Therefore, it has to be a Christmas movie.
Cool.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3 may not be a Christmas movie because it
Does not need Christmas.
doesn't need Christmas,
Yeah.
but Shane Black needs Christmas. And that's the
Director.
director.
Yes.
All right, well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
And as your Christmas gift, I will not ask you to subscribe. I won't remind you to click that like button.
But if
or
you
leave a
wanted to
comment.
give me a Christmas gift,
Oh, yeah. What should they do?
they should click subscribe and like. And if they like the podcast, they should tell their friends about it.
If they really want to give you a Christmas gift,
Yeah.
what if they just headed over to patreon.com/IXFilmProductions
That'd be pretty fucking
and
cool.
gifted you
$1 a month.
with, a couple bucks a month to help you make more incredible content like this?
Like this and like our most recent sketch, Bad Guy, our music video parody with Voldemort in it.
Wow. What a wonderful Christmas miracle that would
Yeah. All the warm holiday fuzzies.
be. Yeah, that would be a true Christmas shoes scenario. All right.
This has been a lot of fun.
I love you guys.
I love you all.
Love you too, just like Al said.
Happy holidays. I love
Welcome to the party, pal.
you.